Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another night of Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio on our new nights, Thursday night. We are live all over the internet, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You can download us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher, Twitch, everything online. We are here for you. It's your boy Chucks coming at you, hosting. Chrome will be on within the next 10, 15, 20-ish kind of minutes. So just, don't get your panties in a twist. He will be on in a bit. But we've got our usual Pete to my left. What's going on, Pete?
What's up, man? Hi.
We got the big guy to my lower left. We got Tom. What's going on, big guy?
Wrong way. What's up, boys?
It's mirrored. Or no, not mirrored. My bad. And special guest, longtime A2D guy coming back on for a blast from the past, I guess we can say. Mr. Nick, how do you pronounce your last name? I never knew how to pronounce it.
Muzzillo.
Yeah. Mr. Nick Muzzillo joining us tonight.
How else would you pronounce that, though?
That's not a tough one. Like, I'm Mr. Terrible last name. Like, I already messed up Lindsay's on Tuesday. Second show, mess it up. I don't know what. That one's like, maybe because it's Italian. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I struggle. This is pronunciations. I didn't know whether the emphasis was on the U is emphasized or not. But
hey man, you wouldn't be the only one to butcher it. It's been butchered plenty of times before. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll get into some fantasy football talk with Nick to end the show. But first, let's do some what do you call it? Let's pay the bills. Sponsors. Our doc, Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com and MBuck Services Gutter Cleaning for rotted board replacement, deck insulation and restoration, tree trimming, and all other gutter-related services. You call them at 856-879-5530 and visit them at MBuckServices.com and make sure you mention A2D to get 20% off. Our poll question, which is brought to you by Philly Drinkers, PhillyDrinkers.com, where you can get all your A2D merchandise. The Eagles are better off not winning the NFC East. Do you agree or disagree? That is a very tough poll question, I will say at least. So we're going to get on that. We're going to preview the Eagles-Browns matchup this Sunday, as well as look ahead to the rest of the season. How confident really are we? We're also going to talk about the running back situation. It worked out because when I made the criteria, we talked about we were going to do this topic of, is Sanders, after his good performance on Sunday against the Giants, do you consider him a top 10 running back in the league right now? And it's a good topic to get into because just hours ago, the Eagles signed Jordan Howard back to their practice squad. So what does this change for the Eagles? So we'll get into running back talk for the Eagles. And then we'll also get into basketball. We're going to talk about the Sixers and the big night they had yesterday, the draft, all the trades. Morey is definitely making some noise. So we want to get into that. And then, like I said, we're going to get to some fantasy football talk with Nick to top the show off. But first, let's go to the big guy. The poll question, are the Eagles better off not winning the NFC East? Do you agree or disagree?
Am I the big guy? There's a lot of big guys here.
You're the head honcho. You're the head honcho. You're the big guy.
I mean, listen, it's a pleasure to be with the guy over here. I don't even know what that would be considered. My left, your right. I don't even know anymore. But it's a pleasure to be on with him. I mean, we're talking like 6 years ago, man. That's the first guy I did agree, disagree with. So Yeah. We're going back a long way. I still got a banner somewhere in here that says like A2D Radio, agree, disagree.
Yeah, man.
No, Nick Muzzillo, time on our own, so that's fun. To the poll, listen, I mean, shoot, it's how are they not? The Eagles would be better off not winning the NFC East. Agree or disagree? I disagree. Like, I mean, I totally disagree. Not because I think they're going to do something in the playoffs. I just disagree for a lot more reasons than people probably would expect. I disagree because there's no other sports on right now, right? I went a long time, like most of us, without sports, right? I'll take as long as I'm in a conversation to be in the playoffs, as long as I can take it. That doesn't mean I think they're good. That doesn't mean I think they're going to win a playoff game. That doesn't mean any of that. I don't trust this organization to draft well early on, better yet late. So it doesn't matter to me there. I watched Sixers last night at 21 get maybe one of the steals of the draft. So I watched a good organization that brought in good basketball people that actually looks like they might have got something right. So I can't trust the Eagles when it comes to that. I want playoff football any way I can get it. I know you're looked down upon by getting into the playoffs like this type of team would be, but I'm always in to make a run per se and get into the playoffs. And even if we win 2 more games and we get in, I'll freaking take it at this point. I'll take it. Once basketball's back, I'll say, you know what? All right, the Sixers are playing well. Yeah, tank it then. But when sports are so sporadic right now and we don't know what we're getting, we do know the NFL is in the business of not shutting anything down. So we know that. So as we continue to move forward, I'll take the Eagles just being in the conversation for this shit division as long as I can. That's my little 2 cents.
So let's go to Nick. Nick, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing if the Eagles still end up winning the division?
Well, first of all, I see Tommy still got the same energy he did 6 years ago. So, and he still got the same mindset. So, it's good to see nothing's ever changed. But as far as winning the division, I think to alluding what Tom said about how he, a lot of the drafting that he's done over the past couple of years. At this point, can you really trust him to if he did have some top 10 or top 15 pick, can you really trust him to hit on that pick? So, I've always been of the mindset that it's nice come January having a playoff game that you can get jazzed up for and excited for, and you never know what could happen. I know it's really bleak right now, but listen, the Eagles are 3.5-point underdog in Cleveland. That line's continuing to go down. It's possible they could sneak out a victory here, which would, and not to say it's going to start a run, but it could maybe, start to maybe give them a little more confidence going into next week, which would obviously be a tall task. But you never know. I think January's still a long way away. Maybe Rager starts getting more comfortable and becomes more involved in the passing game. I really hope that Fulgham, isn't just a flash in the pan. Even though I still believe he is going to be what we've seen. But the fact that Jeffrey is back, and Doug wants to continue to try and ease him into the game plan, that's something that you have to look at. But hey, if Jeffrey contributes, if Fulgham continues what he's doing, Rager, you get Ertz back, you're starting to get some bodies healthy. Why couldn't they maybe go into whoever they go and eke out and sneak out a victory somehow? And then you're playing the next week, and you never know what could happen there. So I've always been in the mindset it's nice having a playoff game, and we always talk about the experience factor with Carson. What did he play like? He had about 10 plays before he was knocked out. So in that case, you never know. Maybe Carson has that sort of that competitive fire in him that when he gets to the playoff game, maybe it's a whole new Carson. So you never really know. But just because I don't have a lot of trust in Howie, I would like to see the Eagles play in a playoff game.
Isn't it funny, though? Like, if in normal years, I would say, you know what? We know this football team's not any good. Just shut her down. Just shut her down. I'm tired of watching.
Absolutely.
Shut it down. But, like, this is the type of Like football team, I got them winning Sunday, but this type of football team that'll come out and win Sunday, and then they'd be winners of 3 and 4. They'd be winners at 3 out of 4. And how doom and gloom really would it be? I mean, to us, they haven't played good football, but they'd still be winners of 3 or 4. I mean, that's mind-boggling to think about. That's flat out mind-boggling. As bad as they've been, to say if they win Sunday, they're winners of 3 or 4. Get out of here. I don't believe it. I feel like it's another 2020 lie.
Well, and also the division is just absolutely atrocious. So, I'm not buying the Washington football team, winning the division. I'm not buying the Cowboys making some sort of run. The Giants have looked all right, but their schedule's tough down the stretch. So, I think the Eagles still stand a good shot. But I mean, if they can find 1 or 2 wins here in this next 5 games, I mean, I do think the Browns. This is probably the only winnable game. But like I said before the show, I mean, Seattle's pass defense is just absolutely atrocious. That we'll probably see tonight in the Thursday night matchup. So if they can air it out a bit, and they are due for a win against Seattle. I mean, they've had their number for the past 3 years now. I think Seattle's won like 5 or 6 straight. So, it's like I said, it's a tall task. Don't think that would happen, but you never know.
Pete, what you got? Agree or disagree?
A lot has been said since we have started this show today. It's hard to say because I'm really, if you can imagine a guy of my size and stature being on the fence, I kind of am on the fence. That's a nice visual for the fam out there. But I agree. I agree with both. So TA and Nick both went with winning.
It's tough.
It's tough because of this. It's tough because of this. It's like, okay, are they better off not winning the NFC East? If you disagree, it's because Carson solely gets the playoff experience. I get that. But at that point, do you and Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and Doug Pederson trick themselves into thinking that changes don't need to come? But with that being said, at the same time, if you say, I agree, they're better off not winning NFC East, and then you keep the same regime, that's why TA is scared about Howie making these picks. So I would say it like this. So I disagree if everything stays the same. It's going to be A2D first for me. Anyway, birds of feather first for me. Disagree if everything stays the same. But if I'm guaranteed shit is going to change in the offseason as far as GM and things are going to be different in picking football players, then yes, I agree to the poll because we need it. Even if they do win a division, the cap situation that they're in, who we have making the picks for the players, it's not going to get any better. You feel what I'm saying? Like, do you want it? Okay, so we're on the line last year saying Carson Wentz get his first playoff experience, and he can have all the sheer full willpower he wants to play and get hit with a dirty hit. You get hit with a dirty hit. That shit out of your control. He makes it this year, first round exit. You know who he's turning into that point? He's turning to Andy Dalton. You see what I'm saying? Not talent wise, but that's the track of your career that you're on. In essence, is that what we want at that point? So it's really
playoffs. You think they can make the playoffs and head still roll because it's not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be a good. Like anybody with eyeballs can say, "Hey,
perfect, right there." Look at that comment. And me and Brinks usually don't agree, but that was my next statement. Do you think Lurie is in a position to sit here and say, "Hey, we made the playoffs, but I feel like we still need to make some changes"? No, I said it on the video on Monday when we put it up on A2D. Howie Roseman has been here since I'm 38. He's been here for almost half my life.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
In some form or fashion, for the Philadelphia Eagles organization, Howie Roseman has been here. I don't know. He doesn't die.
No, what does that sound like? Sound like the Flyers, right? Sounds like we got the Flyers in trouble.
I'm getting myself all upset.
Oh, God.
I'm getting myself because I don't get it. I don't know what he has on Jeffrey Lurie to warrant this. You've been the GM for over 10 years. 1 year you win the Super Bowl. One. So you're batting 100. That's still below the Mendoza line. I see T. I can see you get worked up, T. I can feel.
I got worked up because DK Metcalf scored his 9th touchdown of the year, Pete. His 9th touchdown of the year. But he can't go physical and with his shirt off. We didn't want that guy.
Oh God!
The post on HUD today. Great job, whoever did it. I had the idea. We saw it come to fruition. I asked, let's see how many picks Howie gave up, and who he gave up for, and the people that we drafted and who we didn't draft. And you look on A2D on Facebook, if you follow all social media platforms, I think it was on IG and Twitter as well. The list is out there. And trust me, it's probably 5, if not 10 of the top 30 wide receivers in the league right now that we had the opportunity to draft on this team. It's as early as this year. Oh my God, please.
Oh God.
Is that the fucking Teletubby, son?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh.
Isn't that such a trend in this city, guys, that it's like every organization every organization, you look at the Sixers, how long Billy King was here, where you ask yourself, what does ownership have with Billy King that Billy King continues to have a job and absolutely set the organization back? Look at Ruben Amaro Jr. with the Phillies. The guy was with them forever, and I understand that he paid his dues in certain ways, but there has to be a point where you get way too much. And don't even get me started on Bobby Clark. I understand the great player that Bobby Clark was. Bobby Clark and the Flyers is everything. I mean, it's a trend in this city. And for the Eagles, it's Howie. And I don't get it either. I mean, listen, you get 2 years, I think, after a Super Bowl where, you give them the leeway. But we're well past that at this point. And this organization continues to set themselves back over and over. And it's so frustrating to see.
Hence why I say disagree, because if they win it, it's going to create another false sense of security to where they're going to feel like these changes can't be made. And with the cap situation that you have, trust me, let's fucking face it. We don't have Daryl Morey of the Eagles. Daryl Morey for the Sixers, and we'll get into it later in the huddle. Single-handedly in one night gave us cap relief.
10-9-8, baby. 10-9-8.
Gave us cap. Howie used to do that shit. Howie can't do it no more, and Howie has nobody to blame but himself. He was the one who guaranteed Alshon's contract. He was the one who brought back BG. And I'm saying not BG, but these deals that he's made, he was the one that signed Carson to the deal that he signed. And I hate saying that because I do feel like Carson is the guy. But with that being said, you know what happens when you sign your quarterback. When you get him on that rookie deal, you can go out, you can make changes, you can make splashes and sign big free agents. Now that you signed him, guess what? Now your draft has to be on point. And we just saw a fucking guy who looks like freaking Megatron and T.O. and Randy Moss had a fucking baby and scored his ninth touchdown.
It's a big wide receiver gangbang.
I mean, I don't know. It's just the same old conversations. I mean, what makes anybody think that Jeffrey Lurie would fire Howie Roseman? One, right? And when you can't draft, you get yourself tied up into signing guys you don't want to sign. So there's been a trend to this. But my question to you guys is, Jeffrey Lurie is one of this gold standard here, something he's talked about. Where is it? Because going to the playoffs just isn't a gold standard. It's great. It's awesome. Right? I love going to the playoffs every year. That's fun. But at some point, we're watching our roster get worse and worse. And as a football team, us get worse and worse every year. At some point, who is held accountable for that? I just want to know. People are going to blame Doug, and there's blame to go around with Doug. Okay? But Doug doesn't get the groceries right here. Jim Short doesn't get the groceries.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to answer the poll, and it's a tough one for me. Just what Pete had trouble answering it. I'm going to say agree, but for this, I'm going to say disagree, but for these reasons and in this context. I think that regardless of what happens this season, whether they win the division and make the playoffs or not, I unfortunately do not see Lurie making the drastic changes needed. I just don't. So regardless of what happens, I don't think he's going to do it. And I hate saying that, but I don't see those changes being made. And I'll get into what I believe the changes should be in a second. But if the changes aren't going to be made, then I think that it would be beneficial for Carson to get playoff experience. But not only Carson, but these young players that we have on our roster, the young weapons, I think it would be very beneficial for them to get experience and know how to start winning as well. You know what I mean? So let them learn how to win, get them playoff experience now because they'll need it, down the road. Now, in terms of making those necessary changes and who should be held accountable, what you asked, Tom, I just came out with my article, just came out on a2dradio.com, and I had said that the long-term future of this team does not look encouraging. And it's for those reasons. I do not see Lurie, for one, I don't see him forcing Howie out. And even if he doesn't force Howie out, I don't see him making Howie delegate personnel decision-making to someone else. He absolutely should, because I think if Howie's going to stay as a GM, he's fine as the guy doing the salary cap and everything. But in terms of personnel decision-making, it has to be someone else, someone with credibility. I don't see Lurie doing that. Second, I think Jim Schwartz would be fired. I think it's enough is enough. I would fire Jim Schwartz. Whether he does that or not, I don't know. Maybe it's possible, but I think he should fire Jim Schwartz. And
you don't like missionary stuff? You don't like the same thing over and over and over again for year after year? You're not into that? Good, me either. Good.
No, I like changing up a bit. And three, I think that Doug has shown now, ever since the 2017, he is not the mastermind offensive genius that we assumed he was. He's a great leader. I love Doug. I think he's a leader of men. And as strictly just a head coach, I like him a lot still. I love Doug. But he needs an offensive coordinator. He needs to delegate that responsibility to someone else. And he needs a good offensive mind in here as offensive coordinator to construct a good play designs that have purpose and direction and know how to use our personnel, the guys on our roster, to their strengths. Right now, that's out there's nothing going on in our play calls, in our play designs, in our playbook that do that. Nothing. There's nothing. So that needs to happen. Do I think Lurie will force Doug to do that? No, I don't think so. And that's why it bothers me, the long-term outlook of this team beyond this year. The fact that I don't see these changes being made, these necessary changes being made, it makes me very, very upset. And I don't have a lot of hope that this team can turn it around, not only this year, but for the next couple of years. Right. So, and then the last thing is Wentz. And I know we talk about this past several weeks. I've been on with Pete and Tom. With Wentz, he is not going anywhere this year or next year. We know that. But I would also, if I were Lurie and the rest of that organization, I would sit down and Wentz, regardless of what happens this year, sit down with them and say, next season, 2021, you got to prove it. No more excuses, no more nothing, okay? You have to start producing like the quarterback we paid you to be and the quarterback we believed you to be back in when we drafted you. You have this year. You have 1 year. Yeah. Prove it, and if you don't, your job is on the line. We cannot guarantee that you are going to be the starting quarterback beyond 2021 because there is an out on that contract. They have an out. So he can be traded or cut, and they could move on. So
you guys moving Howie Roseman.
You guys, real quick, I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but this is a developing story, and we're just going to mention it. And we'll dive into it momentarily. We saw it kind of teased on social media already, but per Keith Pompey, the Sixers are targeting Nerlens Noel, and there is mutual interest once free agency opens up tomorrow.
Montrezl Harrell Light. I'm telling you.
Once again, we're talking about general managers and presidents of operations. Daryl Morey, once again, setting the standard real quick in this city in Philadelphia on how to get a job done. And Noel, I think, is an excellent option as a backup. I love it bringing him back if it does happen. Anyway, I just want to make sure we mentioned it because it is a fresh thing that just popped up. So my apologies.
No, it's good. About time we're watching a team make the right move. No, I was just Duck's last point. I had something to ask you guys a question on, but now I'm losing it.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was just say, Chrome is clearly the biggest Sixer fan, probably in the tri-state area. So especially at A2D. But,
Big Dad is.
Listen, hold on. I have like 7 pairs.
Flyers.
I'm usually all Jordans, but I have like 10. The next pair of shoes I have the most of is Iversons. Like I have limited edition Iversons, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that, as you were. So real quick, TA, to your point, I think you mentioned something about Howie, but I want the fan real quick and ponder this is when you look at Reed, where Pederson came from, Andy Reid, he always had that young OC, or he took a chance. Where Doug, I feel like in 2017, after Frank Reich left, really thought in his mind, and I'm confident he thinks he can do this, is he could do this on his own, or he could do this without that help. And this year, I saw it earlier where maybe Lurie's really gave it to this year. Like he said, let's try this. This is really on you guys, because really this season itself, besides Jim being Mr. Missionary, well, you kind of know what you're going to get there. It's just like it's a vanilla ice cream. It's a vanilla twist. You know what you're going to get. You've had a vanilla twist here, it's a vanilla twist there, and it has its flaws, it has its holes, whatever. But as far as Roseman and Pederson, maybe Lurie said, this is it. This is on you guys. Like Pederson next year, you need to get an OC. This offense can't survive like this. And the one thing about Wentz, real quick, is we used to say that he was the one spotlight, the one light, and now that light is starting to fade out. And when that happens, what positive? If you stripped Wentz away from this team, what positive do we have?
Nothing.
And every team in the division has a reason why they are where they are, and maybe trending on the way up. That to tie into Chuck's point about long-term outlook on this team. I'm making myself sad right now.
Yeah, it's sad when you.
Not very good.
Now he finally goes. Do you think that finally like relaxes Carson finally? Like I don't know. I just think Howie done him no favors to like make him a relaxed player.
No, I 100% agree with that.
The whole organization.
Firing all the rest.
Listen,
firing all the rest. It's got to start up top if we want to change.
Absolutely. Listen, I think the fact that Jalen Hurts, lurks, quote unquote, if you will, behind him, certainly is in the back of his mind. And I think and obviously he hasn't got any favors from Doug. I mean, Doug's practically throwing him under the bus up until this past week, where he, for the first time in a very long time, came to his defense. But yeah, I mean, it's always going to, I think the Nick Foles versus Carson debate. Let's be honest. That sits in the back of his mind. The fact that they drafted a quarterback in the second round, quite frankly, should not have maybe gone there at that point. A lot of guys are left on the board to get this guy some help. So I think he kind of feels, or at least I see it, especially, actions I feel like always speak louder than words. And it's just showing up on the field that he's got no support from this organization. And, if you look at the good organizations, the ones who are consistent each year, I mean, we can rattle off Green Bay, Kansas City, New Orleans. I mean, these guys just build around their quarterbacks. And right now, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, and the fact that they throw this guy under the bus more times than not, I'm not making an excuse for the guy. He obviously still has to get it done. But it's alarming, and I've always wondered what exactly Jeffrey Lurie sees and how he can, sit in his office and just think that Howie Roseman is this, elite talent evaluator when really it's not showing up on the field right now. And it's very, very questionable. And you can certainly make the argument that, Howie really has really struggled in this area to really do something, to really bring the guys in here, the right guys, I should say, really try and bring the right guys in here to help just the team and Carson and the offense as a whole.
He did it once. He did it 1 year, and it was a Super Bowl year. Aside from that, the body of work doesn't support him. It just doesn't. And look back at Chip Kelly, right? We talked about the guys who were the decision makers, right? Chip Kelly made personnel decisions, held accountable real quick. He made coaching decisions, held accountable real quick. Why? Just because it's one singular guy. Why can't we do it with multiple guys? Howie's been in this position before, and he didn't succeed. So they turned the keys over to Chip Kelly, and he didn't succeed. So we go back and retread, which is what we do, and it worked out 1 year, and that's great that it did. However, There has to be accountability at some point. You can't continue to rest on your laurels. And again, I don't understand either. It's like Pete was talking about, right? Howie for so long burnt the candle at both ends. We knew that the quarterback extension was coming up. He continued to defer money time and again, which, listen, was great. And you know what? At the time when the window was there, I can't say that I blame him. However, when the extension was on the horizon, that's where you need to start making smarter decisions. And he continued to make those same kind of moves as if he had another 3 years of Carson on a rookie deal.
But
and that's where you
for that, though.
his team back.
Yeah, let me say something real quick. He got crowned for that in this city. He got
You're right.
I mean, more people couldn't be on their knees on Broad Street for this guy because he deferred money year in, year out. And we're like, well, look, he opens up more money to go. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, how long can he do this for before it bites us in the ass? And here we are.
You. Exactly.
And problem.
I hate the people that – sorry, Chrome, real quick. I hate the people that want to say salary cap is not real. It's real. If you keep doing that, restructuring, that money has to be paid. It's not vanishing out of nowhere. You have to pay that money eventually. And where does that go? It goes to the dead cap. And what happens with dead cap for players who are older? You get the Alshon Jeffrey situation. You get all these aging players, these diminishing returns, who are piling up dead cap. You can't keep restructuring contracts. You can't. It's not a good way to have long-term success. If you want to have short-term success and do it because your window was right there, absolutely. When he did it a few years ago, that was fine. But he kept doing it over and over, and that's not. You can't do that.
And honestly, the conversation we had at the start of the year, I'll go back and I'll give Pete a little bit less flack on it because I think he was, in hindsight and seeing how things have played out, he was right. Zach Ertz, prime example of a guy. At some point you have to make decisions. Can you move on from a guy and move some money off the books while they have a value? And they didn't do that. There's opportunities. Right. How many times have we bought Jason Peters back? and listen, we all love Jason Peters. I'll be grateful forever. But to say he was the only option, well, maybe if you were making smarter personnel decisions, and while maybe you're deferring certain situations and other ends, you're moving guys and looking, again, this is where the Italian evaluator is, right? The talent evaluator. You can move on from certain guys, even if they're still producing, to open up space. And then you can key in on other guys who maybe are, like the Patrick Robinsons of the world. And these guys who maybe aren't the sexiest names, but there's something that they can contribute to this team that for that period of time, there's a lesser value on the books. You get more bang for your buck instead of lumping it all in one spot. And now, again, here we are. We drafted Dallas Goedert, and at some point, you have to turn the keys over to Dallas Goedert.
Absolutely.
So to Pete's conversation, we talked about that at the beginning of the year, and I think I gave you a little bit of slack, but I'll back off of that now because you're absolutely right. He's a prime example I'm looking at right now. I love Zach.
Right. Who was right?
I'm taking
Pete.
Tom was with me.
Yeah, Pete, we're on that.
Well, I'm just
by ourselves.
talking about
that boat was
my conversation.
They sell online. They the hole in the boat, and they sell the stuff on top. Nobody. Listen, we had that, and it was sinking, down, and nobody was jumping.
Plug it up.
What maybe? Everybody called us idiots. What are we talking about? We're gonna trade the best tight end in football. That's what everybody thought. The best tight end in football, Tom. The best tight end in football. Yes, that's what we're talking about.
And the one thing that I will add to that, though, that we could not foresee until the beginning of this year, where it became very evident, was what was going on behind the scenes with Howie and Zach Ertz, and that's a problem to me. That's a problem. That gives more credibility to your guys' point. If we would have known that, I would have probably jumped right in with you guys. But the fact that we didn't know that was going on, and I'm saying you guys made a really good point. But then you have this other underlying thing that nobody knows about until it comes out. And it's even more of a reason why I'm like, well, Howie, then why wouldn't you make that move then? That's where it really makes sense.
Right. Let me ask you something, though. Ertz and Wentz are really close. Really close. Yeah. We all know this. This isn't something that just came out. This isn't breaking news. All right, they are extremely close. Do you think one doesn't affect the other in this situation? Where's the loyalty to your quarterback? There's none. There wasn't loyalty to Zach Ertz. You gave loyalty to Brandon Graham. You didn't go draft his damn replacement. You drafted Zach Ertz replacement the day after he won a freaking Super Bowl here. And that's fine. That's what you do with in the National Football League. Okay? But you did the same damn thing to your quarterback. You think these guys aren't men like we are that had the same conversations? Like, what is this guy doing? This all matters in the grand scheme of things. When we talk about what winning organizations do, and we say, I'm telling you, it's top to bottom to win a Super Bowl or to win a championship. All things got to be coincide with each other.
It's a marriage, man.
It's all got to be the same. Everybody's be on the same page, and right now, no one's on the same page.
Listen, before the year this was happening, the week before we came into this season, we all sat here on numerous shows and said, "Oh, this is not how you want to start a season," and we were so optimistic. But when your best players are calling out your front office,
that's not good.
No.
And I mean,
they brought this on themselves. Like when you're talking about top to bottom, like we all sat here on the show the night of the second day of the draft, and you all saw us say the moment they drafted Hurts. We were like, this is going to be a mess.
You said WTF. That's what I said.
It's ridiculous. And you have an instance, DK Metcalf, long bomb. You have an instance where you're seeing now the GM and the coach, the coaches are not on the same page. No. They are not on the same page. We talk about the Hurts thing. We talk about I've heard reports that JP coming back was a Howie thing, but Doug didn't want JP back. He didn't want him. He didn't want to bring him back. And there are numerous other examples where Howie is making these personnel decisions that he believes the direction of the team should go one way, while the coaches believe it should go the other way. Yeah. So when you don't have that unity, that you're not on the same page, you're gonna get what you get now.
And you brought up April, Chuck, real quick. You brought up April, right? And you were talking about the draft. Well, what did Jim Schwartz say in April to his general manager? Hey, I need a linebacker. Linebacker. And he never addressed it. And then he drafted a guy. Then he drafted a guy in the third round who ain't even going to step on the field this year.
He can't even play.
Yeah.
Right.
That's creating
a project.
Right.
Jim Schwartz.
Well,
we know one thing about Jim. Ego. We know one thing about Howie Roseman. Ego. We know one thing about Doug Pederson we're learning. Ego. So there's three egos in the room. At some point, if they want to work together and stay together, that marriage needs to get cleaned up real quick.
Well, I don't remember who said it, but I apologize. I don't remember who said it. But in the offseason, all four of them, Doug, Howie, Jeffrey, I would even loop in Carson. The four of them got to get into a room together, and it has to get addressed. You gotta air out your grievances. You got to talk it out, even though it probably won't happen. But if you guys talk about how there's an ego trip going on, that's when the owners got to take control here and say, this is my team. There's not going to be any egos. There's not going to be any dysfunction. It starts at the top and it's got to work its way down. I mean, that's really high. That's really that like I said, that's when because the owners start to feel it. If you don't think they listen to the public, they do, because somebody got in Doug's ear this week and say, you got to protect your quarterback. You got to come to his defense. So they are listening, but there comes a time where it starts eating into your pockets, and when it does, and especially in this case with the Sixers, they'll start feeling the heat. If you don't think they feel the heat with that stuff, they do, and eventually Jeffrey's got to put his foot down.
But that's where the problem is, though. That's where the problem is, Nick, is the fact that there's a lot of egos, right? But it seems like a lot of these egos are aiming their focus on one. All right, we mentioned Howie, we mentioned Doug, we mentioned Schwartz. Oh, Carson, I'm sure, has an ego. Ertz obviously has an ego, and all of them seem to actually be aligned and focusing on one. And the problem with the one that they're focused at is he's the one that has the more power than any of them, and he's the one that has the owner's ear, and that's where the problem lies. What is it with that relationship that we have one guy who singularly is he is the freaking stump Messiah. Of the tree.
He's the Messiah.
He is the base of the tree, and all these branches are focused on this one spot, building out of this one spot. Yet the owner says, I love this tree. It's the most beautiful tree I've ever seen, and I'm never going to fucking get rid of it. I don't care how many branches fall off or die. That's the problem with this guy.
That's what we call communists. That's what we call a dictatorship. You understand? When one person has all the voice, it's a dictatorship. Listen, I say it a million times.
And that's disappointing.
If you think you're the smartest guy at something, you freaking failed. I'll say it a million times.
Yep.
We're the voice of the people, like Nick said earlier. They hear people. If you think they don't hear you, if they think they don't hear us as fans, and especially in 2020, you're crazy. So continue to bring the heat at them and continue to attack what's wrong with this organization. Right now, you could listen. I would take Mike Rowe back right now as my offensive coordinator. That's how bad it is right now. Okay.
I don't. I hate to say
Shut
that.
up, Chrome. Shut up, Chrome. Better offense last year than this year. So I don't want to hear.
I said I don't disagree with you.
So you're
I know, and I agree. It's sad, but I agree with you because I never liked the fact that we weren't going to have a coordinator to begin with. It's actually the opposite of what I thought, where I thought they made it sound like there were going to be all these different guys in the room and all these different ideas.
A marriage of offensive.
And now they're showing that no, it's all Doug. And honestly, I think Howie's pulling strings behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming. It's the complete opposite. And that's where the problem lies.
Didn't we hire Caldwell this offseason, guys?
What happened?
What's that?
Didn't we hire Caldwell this offseason?
No.
No.
We wanted him.
I wanted him. I begged for him.
But real quick, we went Morningway though, right?
Yeah.
We went Marty.
Morningway was one of the many assistants we hired.
Well, remember what you called
It's Scangarello. No.
Scangarello. You talking about Scangarello?
Scangarello.
Scangarello.
Scangarello was.
Here's the thing.
This is the thing that pisses me off. Go ahead.
The problem with Nick's, and it's not a problem with your point, Nick, because you're right in concept. But the problem is, all those other guys are sitting in a room and having a conversation.
Yes.
It's the guy with the biggest voice who, in my opinion, seems like he's too good to even walk into the room.
Not according to Joel's, though, Crum. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. According to Joel's, there's too many. There's too much.
Too many voices.
There's too many voices.
Too many
there's
voices.
Not one. There's
a lot of people. A lot of people have said that. And I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast that Trey Thomas, Todd Hermans, and Jamal Jackson have. They said that weeks ago too, that there are most likely too many people in Doug's head and potentially Carson's head. And to Lord Walker's point, I want his comment here that he's alone on the Carson Wentz defense team because he's been commenting and defending Wentz. We all love Wentz. We've all come to the defense of Wentz. He has none of us though are shy about saying when he deserves blame, and he definitely deserves his share of blame. He's been bad numerous games this year, but I think the overall point we're addressing right now is not so much that Carson is a below average QB. It's the fact that this organization has really screwed Carson up. There was that video A2D posted earlier today, where it was the snippet from the 2017
Week 8.
Doug was talking to John Lynch, and he was giving Wentz all these praises. All his practice habits are great. He's a hard worker. He knows everything. This is the real deal. And then at the end, he says to John Lynch, "We just have to make sure we don't screw him up." Well,
and they did.
That's what they're doing right now.
They screwed him up. They absolutely screwed him up. They messed it up so badly.
I don't blame Doug. I don't blame Doug.
No, I don't.
It's Howie.
That's Howie.
To me, it starts at Howie, but Doug not having an offensive coordinator contributes to it too.
Absolutely.
It's all of them. It's all of them.
Too many voices. I will say this though about why it's Howie and why it starts with Howie. Before 2018 ever started, Nick Foles should have been dealt out of here. If that's 11 guy, deal. Okay, and you get all this drama out of here. But he never did it, and then he said, "Oh my, this year," and he re-upped.
That's why I said they've always had 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
What was it, Ducks? What was it?
Yeah,
2
second round pick. The Browns offered a second round pick for Nick Foles. Are you kidding me?
It was the first pick in the second round too. It was the first pick in the second round.
And you guys are absolutely right, because then you look back and it's the fact that Nick Foles, even without moving him, I don't want to say he did us a favor, but he got hurt, and then when he came back, he lost his job. So that kind of gave a little credibility of even if we kept him, we knew he was never going to be the guy. But then when you double down and you bring that drama 10 times over with a young quarterback in the second round out of the college. That's even worse than Foles at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, here you go. Yeah, like Tom said, hold my beer. Fuck that, dude. Hold my keg. Help me roll this keg in here. We're all going to start taking sips.
My wife would,
Everybody grab a solo cup. Let's go.
My wife would divorce me on draft night if that happened to me. You understand me? We would get a divorce on draft night if this organization stabbed me in the back like they did to him. After you give him $100 million, you make him feel comfortable, and then, boom.
I looked into the second. I was just saying.
Let me address Lord Walker. I didn't say that Carson Wentz and Andy Dalton are the same player. I said that the careers would be similar if he kept making it to the playoffs and losing. That was one. Two, I also saw a comment a while ago say put Jalen Hurts in the Taysom Hill role. Drew Brees just went down. Who's the starting quarterback? It ain't fucking Taysom Hill. Three. This is back to a comment that Gongos made where he said Carson trade. Listen, you go ahead and put Carson Wentz on the trade market. We said this last week. You can go with the Indianapolis Colts and he's winning the Super Bowl. Straight up and down.
Absolutely.
So,
they win the Super Bowl.
This is not the time to do that, by the way, Pete, because his value's down. Now you need to rebuild his value.
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. And
this is the wrong time
you're
to
going
put
to sell. You're going to sell him for a lot
sell
less.
low.
Now you're
selling low.
You're going to sell him for a lot less.
Now you get a conditional. You know what I mean? You try dealing them now, you get a fucking conditional back.
Right.
Hey, a fifth and a conditional.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? You know what happens if he goes to that team? He's going to be Carson of 2017, and he's probably going to be an elite quarterback again.
Yes.
That's just how it works. That's just how it plays out.
Why? Now he's loose.
Yes, but there's truth to the point that for some reason these coaching staffs outside of the offensive line, we can't progress young players, and they do go other places, and they seem like they do perform better for whatever reason. We saw a comment about Jeremy Chin, but I love Jeremy Chin in the second round instead of Jalen Hurts. But to the note, I saw one that said too many captains, no generals. We sat here and talked about it. Nick, you mentioned about sitting them all down. The dude with the biggest, and you know what, out of all four of these guys is Jeffrey Lurie, because he's the one that signs the checks. I need him to step up and make a decision. I don't know in any sport, any four of the major sports, any organization where a GM or a vice president, an equipment guy, whatever it is, Howie Roseman has seen 4 regimes, 3 or 4, and he's still here. He's been through Andy. He's been through Chip. Now he's here through Doug. He was here through Chip, left. It came back, and now it's here through Doug. When Andy Reid was the coach for 12 years, I don't know any GM or president or outside of one person who in this area we can't fucking stand. It just hit me. Light bulb just went off. And he has no reason because he's the owner. There's only one person and I've seen in anything because he's the owner go through that much shit, and that's Jerry Jones. You mean to tell me Howie Roseman's our Jerry Jones? Because that's what it seems like now.
Not stupid, not stupid to that level.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, I'm talking about you can't kill him. Like you can't. There's whatever it is. He's always there.
Hey, bring Chip back.
I'm not going to stoop down to it. I would never stoop down and call Howie Jerry Jones.
No, but I do think that Howie has way too much power at this point. And a reshuffling
results, Nick. No results.
I'm with you, Pete. I'm with you. And I think a reshuffling of the front office is something that wouldn't hurt to look at in the offseason. I was just looking up the 2018 second round. That's what you guys said? That was the draft pick that was offered, right? 2018 second round for second round pick for. I was just looking at the draft picks who was there, and I'm just going to rattle them out because a couple of these guys probably could have changed the look for the Eagles at this point. But, Nick Chubb, let's see, you got Nick Chubb. The Browns actually had 2 picks. They went Austin Corbett at 33 and Chubb at 35, right? So the pick after him was Darius Leonard for the Colts. You got Ronald Jones at 38, Cortland Sutton at 40.
Yeah. Shut it down, Nick.
No, keep it going.
I'm sorry, guys.
Every goddamn thing. Keep going.
My gosh.
You just talk about trying to extract all value that you can, and flipping that value for something, even more that has an even bigger return on investment. And those are just a few examples of what could have been. It could totally have changed the face of the Eagles defense or offense, in that case.
Nick Chubb, guys.
Yeah.
I know you love Miles, but give me Nick Chubb all day.
Yes. I'm trying to remember back, and I feel like from what I remember, this organization was so hesitant, and I could be wrong, But I feel like back then the organization was so hesitant to trade Foles because of what he just did, coming off as a Super Bowl.
Same thing with
and
Ertz,
I hated
though.
that. And I
Same thing
hated
with
that.
Ertz.
Because like if you know he's not your franchise quarterback, I don't care what he just did.
Right.
You know, like I don't care if there's a statue of him and Doug Pederson outside the stadium. If he's your backup quarterback and you are offered a second-round pick, you take it. You take it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
This is what happened. He got caught with his pants down when it came to loyalty. You understand?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
all these moves he brought back or gave big deals to were all loyalty moves. Okay, I'll say it a million times. You want to know the reason our core players who won the Super Bowl here? You want to know who drafted them people? I hate to break the news to you people. Guy wasn't a good football coach.
Please, preach it.
Now evaluator. Now it's Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, Zach Ertz. Chip Kelly, Lane Johnson. Do I got to continue to the people? These weren't Howie Roseman picks. These are the reason there was a freaking feud because he was nailing picks and Howie was pissed. You want to know why there was a feud, people? Okay, wake up. Wake up. He had nothing to do with any good picks that were here. They had nothing to do with Howie Roseman. You can tell me Miles Sanders might be the only good pick in Carson Wentz who fell into
and Dallas got it.
I can't even say
but he screwed himself over with Goddard because he doubled down and kept Ertz.
Yeah, I can't say.
I'm just
Miles Sanders. I have a sample size of big time playmaking abilities. I do not have that from Dallas Goedert consistently yet.
I agree with Tom.
Right.
I need to see more, but I'm not saying he's not a bad player. I need to see more.
It's there, though. It's there. It's there, Tom.
That's fair.
Guys, that's it. Miles and Carson. Think about this for a second. These are the only two picks he essentially hit.
Oh, Mylata.
Sorry, I digress.
Don't take my boy Mylata out. Don't disrespect Mylata.
Don't forget about Josh Sweat. Come on now.
I can't do that yet. He hasn't seen the quarterback. He hasn't seen the quarterback in 4 weeks, Nick. He hasn't seen the quarterback in 4 weeks.
To your point, here's the thing. And I talked about this too. With Howie, he's actually had some really good draft picks and undrafted free agent signings, on day 3, later rounds. He's had some decent selections going back from 2016 and on. But when you miss so badly on the earlier picks, that cancels each other out because you have to hit, especially round 1 and that like round 2 too. Like you have to hit. You can't if you do well on day 3, those players are still only projected to be, solid contributors, starting level, players. But your day 1, day 2 picks, those are the guys that are supposed to be special. And when you constantly miss on them, you're building your roster with decent players, but no blue chip players. Does it make sense? Like
yeah.
You can't keep missing earlier on, and that's Howie's weakness is that he misses too early on drafts way too often.
Yeah,
Real
I was
quick.
go ahead, Chrome. Sorry.
I want to ask Zach's question here. Do I trade Russ Hop and Jay Cook for Dalvin and Matt Ryan? Only thing I would ask is it like a keeper league?
Yeah,
Because that may make
where are
the
you
difference.
at in the league?
What's
Like,
the
what
situation
context?
in that league?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
On
get back to us on that.
On
Zach.
paper, absolutely not, Zach.
If it's not a keeper league, then absolutely do not make that deal. But depending on what the keeper
If it's a keeper league,
contingencies are,
you're only getting Dalvin Cook. You're only getting Dalvin Cook. So it's Dalvin Cook. Real quick, Dalvin Cook.
Hopkins. Yeah.
Right.
Matt Ryan's putting up some decent numbers though.
Now, Chrome, you got to ask him this, though. Chrome, you got to ask him this. Are you a major need of a tight end? Is that why this deal is more enticing to you because you need a tight end because somebody's hurt? So just explain to us the
A lot of context. Yeah.
Zach, don't know when you respond
receiver.
back. No donation, just respond back. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Thanks
just
for
let
the
us know when you
donation. We
respond back.
appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, just let us know and we'll get
No,
to your
pony
we'll
up.
give you-
Oh,
shit.
Going back to the draft picks missed though, Chucks. Another thing that I think is going a little under the radar is the miss, maybe technically the miss that he's had with Derek Barnett at this point, because he was, that also changes the look of your defense too.
Nick? Reggie?
Yeah, Reggie. Yeah, exactly. He broke Reggie's sacks at Tennessee, right? Yeah, big whoop. He's not doing much. He's not doing much in an Eagles uniform. I'll tell you that. A lot of times he's nowhere to be found on game days. But that's a big miss as well, because this guy was looked at as, you know, the next great Eagles pass rusher, and right now he's been on the injured list more times than I can even remember.
That's
right
not
now,
true. No, that's not true.
I will give him credit
That's
for
not
this.
true.
Derek Barnett has played well this year, but
Yes.
to your point, he still hasn't.
He hasn't been enough. You know, he hasn't
Yes.
been.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You haven't got enough at that position.
Well,
He's
He's
developed slow, but people forget in 2018, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. 2018, he was our best defensive player until he got hurt halfway through the season. Again, that's where the injury comes in. And then he did not have a good bounce back year last year. However, I think he's played pretty well this year. But you're right, and I'm not ready to call him a bust or a total miss yet.
No.
However, at
But
where
you
he
need
was
more.
picked, you needed
Right.
more production earlier. But again, he's also a guy that at least at important and in big games and in important moments, he's come up with big plays when a lot of guys haven't. It's always seems to be him and Brandon Graham who get to the quarterback in a big game late in the game when you need them to do that.
Well, Crumb,
So I will give him that.
Crumb, this is the conversation we had earlier in the week too, and you guys can talk about it too. But it was like, who were the stars? I mean, look, we can say Derek Barnett's done some good things, and he absolutely has. And I like Derek Barnett. You know what I mean? Because what else is here? So I'm going to be like, okay, I want Derek Barnett to stay because at least there's some track record of getting after the quarterback. But who on this roster is star worthy? Like I'm telling you, I'm the biggest 11 guy in the world, and I love Miles. Like not as much as Chuck does, but I love Miles, right? Like I do. But there's no stars yet. Nobody's a star on this roster. Nobody.
Agreed.
Let's go through it. So we'll say in terms of right now, you've got Darius Slay. Is that fair? Slay?
No, I don't think he's a star. You got to take the football away to be a star in this.
Okay, all right. So you're not going to count Slay. I'm going to. All right, we won't say
star. Is he a top 5 player?
Kelsey.
Hold on.
Kelsey.
No, stop. Is he a top 5 player in his position? Yes or no?
No. I didn't say
He's not a star. Then he's not a star. He's not a star.
No. I didn't know your criteria. I'm just.
What is a star to you guys? A star is a guy who's an all-pro year in, year out. Star worthy. Like guys who change your organization.
Okay, so you're talking about like a superstar type of.
Right. I think he's talking about a
top 5 in their
face of the franchise.
So, okay, so you mentioned Lane, right? I will give him Lane. Yep. I still would say Kelsey. Would you say Kelsey? I still would say Kelsey. I think Kelsey hasn't
at the center position. I would throw.
Yeah,
I guess I would throw him in there. Yeah, I would.
Top 5 talks. Yeah, I'll go with you. Yeah.
I roll with
I would agree with that.
That might be it.
That might be it.
Because Brandon Brooks is not playing, so I'm not going to count him. But if he was healthy, I would include him.
Great.
But that's.
I would say Ertz. I mean, well, not this year, but Ertz was, considered a top 5 at his position.
And he's still young, enough that next year he could bounce back healthy and jump right back into a high production.
Right. So. I don't want you guys to think I'm shitting on the whole roster. Like Fletcher Cox still top 5 player.
No,
I will. Oh, Cox. God,
top 5 position. Now listen, you go away from the offensive line. This is my point. When I said in the video, you go away from the offensive line, you go away from the defense line. Woo! And you don't have as much up front as you used to. Up front, you used to say, "Hey, this guy is," right? Now, BP, you can make the argument this year, top 5 guy in his position because he's had a great year. Listen, you go away from the lines, that's the problem. You gave that Slay top 5 corner money. I don't have a problem with Darius Slay. I don't, and I'm not trying to knock him. I'm saying your best corners in football, I know they shut guys down. They take the damn football away too, and there's been none of that. And that's what's concerning to me is everybody we bring here, nobody can take. Roby Coleman used to walk in the picks in LA. Now he can't. Now ball hits off his helmet. Like everybody that comes here can't take the football away.
Well,
so it's just crazy.
I do want to ask you too, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to ask you too, though, to kind of piggyback off of that, and then we got to start moving on to Sixers talk. But like now that we've seen how much of that is on Schwartz, because we've seen Rasul play well, we've seen Sidney now play well, and then we brought in NRC, who was good. He was not. I'm not saying he's a superstar, but he was pretty damn good as a slot corner in LA. Comes here and he's trash, and we've seen it repeatedly with other players too. How much of this then you guys think is on Schwartz? because I would say I'm not going to say it's all on Schwartz, but I think a lot of a good amount is on Schwartz. There's a lot of stuff that coaching wise and schematic wise, he has to be accountable for.
I want you guys. I have one thing, and I got nothing. I don't got a lot with this. I'm just gonna say this: when you never blitz, when you never bring pressure, you hurt your corners, and I'm just gonna leave it right there. Okay,
I agree with that, and spot on with that. The other thing I would add is a big thing. I feel like Jim Schwartz's success in his defenses in the past, whether it was here or elsewhere, was having a linebacker. Nigel Bradham was produced very well here. Mm-hmm. And if you look at other places, he's always had a linebacker, maybe not a top 5 linebacker in the league, but a guy who produces and helps out back there. And the fact that there's no linebacker this year, I think this year specifically has exploited the fact, because now it's hurting the secondary as well. It's hurting the team in terms of stopping the run game and not blitzing, him not reacting to that fact. And like Tom said, now if we're not going to have that pressure back or that help back there, we have to pressure the quarterback more and make him make mistakes, make him make decisions that then could put our corners in a position to take the football away. It's all a big domino effect. And
you are 100% right. Like, it's hard to work with linebackers that are what we have. Like, and I said earlier in the year that our linebacking core was going to be a problem all season. So I 100% agree with that. But what I will also add to that, though, if you know that's a weakness, why are you consistently putting your linebackers in disadvantageous positions? That if you are a good defensive coach, you're masking those linebackers' weaknesses. Schwartz has not been doing that. He relies too much on these weak linebackers to do several things. And I will use Nate Gary as prime example. For half of the season so far, he's someone that looked at Gary as if he's another one of his love childs. Like, he puts so much on Gary's lap.
Hold on. Real quick. How long has he been here for, Chucks? How long has he been here for? A long time, okay? He's been here for a long time. Your freaking general manager knows his system by now, or he shouldn't even be being anywhere.
I'm not absolving it. Roseman deserves blame as well as anyone. I'm just saying that Schwartz has his faults too. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I want
the guy to change his stripes at this point of his coaching career, and now he's got to adapt this whole system in a shortened off season without a legitimate linebacker. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have to then point back upstairs and say, you know this guy's system by now. You know what he needs, like to your point, Chuck, about Nigel, etc., Kendricks. You know he needs linebackers for this system to really work the way you want it to.
And just to go off Chrome's point, I mean, this draft was as good a draft as any to get a linebacker, because you had Queen and you had Murray, who fell to you because it was such a receiver-rich draft, And look, I'm not knocking the Rager pick because I like Rager. I think he'll be good. But it would have made more sense maybe to draft? Would it have made more sense to draft a linebacker in the first round, get those guys, and then get a receiver later? If you look at the second round, you can just go to the second round and see how many receivers are producing at this point right now.
I wouldn't have minded Murray or Queen, but at the same time too, even when you go to day 2, you have on rounds 2 and 3, you still have solid linebackers available who have been playing well for their respective teams this year. And the one I will always point to, round 3, we drafted the project in Davion Taylor,
which makes zero sense.
Zero sense.
Makes no
he
sense.
was a round 5 grade from me. 0 sense to select him in round 3. But you could have. There was a linebacker there that was a pro-ready version of Taylor, and that was Akeem Davis-Gaither. He's pro-ready, and he's been playing well in Cincinnati. He was there in round 3 for you to take, and you don't take him. So like it's and then it goes back to the whole Howie Roseman thing, not drafting early on. And
no, that's a good point.
You're right, Chuck. It didn't have to be in the first round. Like good GMs find guys. Good GMs lift up every rock. Good GMs look everywhere. Good GMs don't have their freaking antennas and radar on one guy and fall in love because they want to be the smartest guy in the room. Oh, Damian Harris is a project. So you know what? This is smart. I'm the smartest guy in the room, and then you're talking about guys that are actually making contributions for other football teams.
The problem is that none of these projects have really worked out. You know, maybe Mailata, maybe he hit goal with Mailata. That might be the only one.
That's Jeff Stoutland. He's the best. He's the best skill position coach on the team.
No, and I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond to Zach's comment in 1 second. But to add on to that real quick, you know, it's one thing when you draft a project when you have a guy already in place. If Dallas Goedert, quote unquote, was a project, at least you have Zach Ertz already in place, so that by the time they're ready, it's time to pass the torch. But a position that you have, it was a major need to come in, and then your third round pick is a guy who's a project. Is a problem.
It's a problem.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Problem. Burn it all down. Burn the ships. Is that talking about burn it all down? Burn it all.
And real quick, before we jump into Zach's comment and address the fantasy, because you know Nick is a fantasy guru here in Chrome as well.
I made some big deals today.
Yes, you did, sir. But to get to the point where Chuck was talking about Jim Schwartz and Howie kind of goes hand to hand, like how would you know what Schwartz's need for his defense to be successful? And this whole offseason when we heard about it was offense, getting speed. It was almost like the defense was an afterthought. And I'll say this again, and I'll echo what I said in my video on Monday. We sit here and we're killing Howie for all the players, and we did a post about it today, all the offensive players that he's missed. And Nick kind of did it where he had some defensive players on that list. I would like to see just on the defensive side, and if you look at what Jim Schwartz needs on defense for his defense to operate in a well-fashioned manner, he hasn't been getting, Howie didn't do him any favors. Now, you'll sit there and say, well, the players that we got in free agency, okay, that's free agency. Like, there's a reason why they're free agents. You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why they're not getting locked up. These are players that you can come in, have a big impact, and have on a rookie deal to let Howie go out and play with his toys. He did not do that. I digress. So that's just another strike in the coffin for Howie.
All right, so getting back to Zach's comment, when he threw up that trade, it was, I think the original trade was what? Russ,
D-Hop,
and
Jared Cook.
And who was it? Jared Cook.
Cook for Dalvin and Matt Ryan.
Cook and Matt Ryan. So his roster, as constructed now, is Russ, Derrick Henry, Swift, Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, and Evan Ingram. Tight end. His tight end is Claypool, and he has Will Fuller on the bench. I mean, when you look at the opportunity to have Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, do you make that downgrade at wide receiver when you have Michael Thomas and Will Fuller? And obviously, you take a hit at your quarterback. Is that enough of a drop, or are those positions close enough that if you take those hits to take that is a major boost if you have Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that's a blockbuster deal. You know, it just depends. It just all depends how you value Russ at Matt Ryan. I mean, there's clearly a drop off in production. You know, Russ is an elite QB. Matt Ryan's a solid QB. But you know,
the Seahawks do have somewhat of a tougher schedule in the back half, so that's something to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you do. I mean, you get some depth with Cook behind Ingram. The only, you know, if Michael Thomas can be even half of what he was before, then yeah, you can certainly, if you've had a lot of faith in Michael Thomas, then you can certainly do that. Key. That's the key right there. I mean, and who knows what he's going to look like with Jameis? You know, who knows what he's going to look like without Drew Brees and Jameis in there? You know,
more deep balls, just a better arm.
Yeah, no, I mean, just looking at this, I mean, I think Dow was number one running back on the year. So, I mean, running back's the name of the game when it comes to fantasy. So
that wins. Running backs win fantasy championships.
Yeah, I mean, if you roll out Henry, Swift, he's probably making this deal because Swift is going to be out. I think Swift's not going to play this week. So, you know, yeah, you lose Hop. You got Fuller, who's giving you top 20 production. At first I was going to say no, but when I talk it out, I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah, you get Dalvin Cook, you get Cook and Henry, number 1, number 3 running back on the year. I mean, you know, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to lose. It's gonna be hard to. You're gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to compete against
Stable
each week.
points in fantasies.
You can, and the thing
And you
too
got
is
Claypool's a top 20 receiver too. Give you some good production at the flex position. So so Zach, I would say make the deal before he drops out before he decides no.
Yeah, I think as we talk about it too, I like the deal. I mean, if you say no to it, I understand it. And again, like Nick was saying, the big key is how much do you believe that Michael Thomas is going to be able to produce going forward? And, how do you feel about Russell's schedule going forward? But again, running back wins. Chucks will tell you this. I've always tried to make it a point to have a stable of running backs. They win fantasy football. So if you got a chance to have the 1 and 3, that's real tough to turn away. I would probably pull the trigger on that deal as well.
And like I said, you get some. I have a Cook on top. He's not a sexy name, but he can probably give you 10 to 11 here and there. I mean, he's more of a hit or miss. He's maddening, but James is going to sling it, so he's probably going to look for him in the red zone.
And that's one thing that's definitely one thing to consider is that Winston likes to throw the football. He might turn it away or turn it over, but he's going to take shots. Right. And that could be really big for Michael Thomas, especially going forward, to get some big shots. Even if it's not as many receptions and whatnot, but he's putting up bigger yardage. Something to consider.
Right.
I mean, speaking of fantasy, I had a crazy, crazy day of fantasy football trading today. By the way, I got to run it by. I was messaging Chucks and Pete. Today's our trade deadline.
Yes. Okay.
So
I'm
going to keeper league. You keep 3 guys. And basically, there's no limit on how long you can keep them. You just lose a draft pick up, right? So I came into the year, I had Zach Ertz, I had Nick Chubb, and I think I lost my 10th round pick. And Adam Thielen, I lost my 7th round pick. And Zach, obviously, I had the 2nd overall pick. So I had Saquon Barkley is who I took. Mm-hmm. So I got crushed with injuries because I had Ertz, Chubb, Barkley, all done. So I'm out of it. So I drafted Burrow at the end of the draft. My strategy is to take guys who I can keep. It's a 16-round draft who I can keep in the 14th and 15th, 13th round, something like that, or like 1 or 2 of those guys. So I had Burrow. I picked up Tua. And once I really fell out, I said, damn, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. We can't trade draft picks for players during the year. We can do it in the offseason. So my strategy was, I'm going to move Thielen. I'm going to move Russell. They're the 2. I have Russell Wilson. They're the 2 biggest guys I have. I got so many offers on them. So I moved Thielen first, and I got offered Justin Herbert. And I thought, you know what? I'll have all 3 of the young quarterbacks. They're a huge value in this league. And somebody will trade for them because all of them had a 15th round value coming into next year.
Right.
And guys could keep them for 10 years if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So I pulled the deal, and then everybody's in our chat, and they're like,
and then some shit happened again.
They're like, oh, you think there's going to be 2 quarterbacks? So then I had another offer. I had 2 offers on the table for Russell. So I had Hollywood Brown, and who was the other guy I had offered in there? Oh, Justin Jefferson for Russell. And then I had Josh Allen and Ronald Jones for Russell, and I think Naheem Hines or somebody like that. And I was probably going to pull the deal on that one. I'd have 4 quarterbacks, but I'd still have a top 4 quarterback and a top 6 running back. That if I could somehow make a run at the end of the year, I'm not falling off too much, and I have 3 quarterbacks to keep later on. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm 10 minutes from pulling the deal. I get a text message. Did you see the deal I offered you? And I would never trade Nick Chubb, but I got offered Pat Mahomes. Oh. So I traded, and he's a 10th round keeper value for next year, Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, wow.
Jesus.
I told them, I don't care if I got 4 quarterbacks on my roster. So then I swung Herbert into the deal. So I got Mahomes, I got Kirk, and I don't even know who the hell else I got. It was insane. But I traded Chubb, Russell Wilson, and damn, who was the other one I just said?
You said
Herbert.
Herbert.
That's who it was. It was Kirk and Mahomes for Herbert. and Russell Wilson and Nick Chubb. I couldn't say no. I had to take it. So the joke in the league was who had a Chuck said it to me in a chat, but it also came up in my league chat too. Who had a better tenure, Justin Herbert on the Ginger Gang or Frank Gore with the Eagles? It was insane. I did not expect to walk out with him coming out for this year. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to stink this year. I have no running backs. My running backs are Nyheim Hines. Shit, I'm going to just pull my team up. It's pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. I do have DJ Chark as a 14th round keeper option next year, but
okay.
I have Nyheim Hines, Rex Burkhead, Jerick McKinnon, and Lamont Murray. That's all of my running backs now. After I was deep in running back, but you know what? I mean, it's not going to mean shit now anyway.
Yeah.
So
For those
it's been a wild deal.
This is a Miami Rick Barry jersey. All right.
Yeah. But
That's throwback. That's throwback right there.
Hey, Rick.
So Nick, what else you got for us? I know you've been wanting to come on for a while, talk some fantasy. So I have to assume that you got some stuff prepared. So as you know, you got some trade deadline input or advice. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, I really just had some good start sits this week, but I mean, trade deadline. I mean, the goal is there is if you're a contender, you try and get the studs, try and get the the elite guys to put you over the top wherever you may need it. So yeah, I mean, at this point, don't be afraid or hesitate. Don't be afraid or don't hesitate to make a deal, especially if it's one you think they can help you. So so my apologies, I didn't really prepare any blockbuster deals or trade deadline deals, but if I could, just a little. My 2 cents I could put in there, especially if you're a contender. It's all about winning the championship. So, just do what you got to do to get the deal done and get that guy who can help you. But as far as some guys this week I like, I actually just you're right, Chuck. So I was preparing some stuff before I came on here, but one guy I like this week is Damian Harris for against the Texans. The run defense is just absolutely atrocious. They give up the second most points to the running back position. Harris looks like he's the guy there right now in New England. So, probably a good play. Probably get maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns this week. So that's a good option. And, as far as quarterbacks go, I love Big Ben again this week. I call it the Big Ben comeback tour just continues, so he gets another good matchup against Jacksonville. He's a nice play this week, and I'll just go back to the running backs real quick. But yeah, so Big Ben I like this week. At the quarterback, Damian Harris is a good play. Sorry guys, just waiting for this thing to pop up, but Kirk Cousins is another guy against Dallas, with Jefferson and Irv Smith there. I mean, he's got some weapons he didn't have last year. I mean, Jefferson looks like an absolute stud. We can go on and on about that. I know that was a big topic of debate during draft season. So, but yeah, Jefferson Cousins is a guy who I like this week. And then as far as running backs go, hopefully Mike Davis is going to get another start at running back. I like
Mike Davis.
I mean, he disappointed last week. So, it might be hard to trust, but I think in that matchup, that's a good matchup for him to bounce back. And then, and then I actually like the Ravens running backs too. Against who the Ravens playing? Oh, Ravens playing Tennessee. Yeah, so Tennessee. I looked this up before I came on. Tennessee. They've given up it's only one game against the Bears where they've given up less than 10 points to the running back position. So, I like the Ravens this week. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. It's hard to tell who you could throw out each week. It's a messy situation, but there's probably some points to be had there. So those are guys that I like. As far as sitting goes, I think Pete and Chucks, we were talking about it before the show. The Rams is just a messy situation. I don't know if you could trust any of them this week. If it was going to be, it would be Darrell Henderson. As a low end RB3, probably a flex most likely. But the Bucs defense is really stout. Their front seven, so I would definitely be cognizant of that. That's definitely a little risky. And Todd Gurley is another guy who, against the Saints, they're pretty stout up front. I wrote down probably good for a touchdown, but don't be surprised if it's a very low volume. Outside of the touchdown, don't be surprised it's very low volume in terms of running it through the air. So just something to think about this week. I saw Zach's comment about picking up Tom Brady. You can pick up Tom Brady. Don't know if you can use him this week, but down the stretch, he's averaging about 2 touchdowns a game, and he's got some weapons. So certainly someone you can pick up off the bench. I think he's definitely worth a pickup there. So that's what I had this week. And then also Phillip Rivers and Jake Luton were the other guys who I thought probably you want to stay away from this week. But just some quick hit items, and then happy to answer some other questions if you guys have any,
I do have a question, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's all I had. Yeah.
I'm thinking about offering a deal now. Naheem Hines and DJ Chark, who has a 14th round keeper value. He's trying to get rid of Chris Godwin, and he hasn't yet, which tells me he doesn't have a deal yet on the table. So I'm wondering if that would be enough. Chark and Hines, because he really likes Hines.
Can you keep Godwin?
Yes, he would be a. I just had it up and I closed it out. Godwin would be a 9th round keeper next year.
And is there a certain point where?
And by the way, Mahomes is a 13th round keeper next year.
Yeah. No, that's great value. I mean, you can't get better value than that. How far up to the rounds can you keep these guys?
All the way up till they go to the first round.
Wow.
That's why I said you could keep them. That's why my strategy with the quarterbacks was I'll take all 3. At some point, somebody's going to want to get one of them. I figured Herbert would probably be the most valuable, but somebody would probably want him and maybe Joe Burrow. Even if they don't play them next year, they could stash them, trade me a draft pick. Maybe if they're a 15th round keeper, maybe they'll trade me a 12th or 13th rounder for them.
Right.
Give up a little bit now to have that long-term value. That was what I was looking at. But then when I got offered the whole Pat Mahomes thing, everything
went out,
and I was like,
went out the window.
That's what I told everybody. Once that happened, my strategy was great. But when Pat Mahomes is there, everything goes out the window. At a 13th round keeper next year, everything's out the window.
You'll find a running back. I mean, you got ETN.
If he's the only guy I keep next year, it don't matter.
Right.
He won't be. I got
as far as that trade goes,
TJ Hawkinson and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's you're talking about elite tight ends. He's going to be one. If not now, it's going to come sooner. Maybe as early as next year. But Chrome, if you can make that trade happen, Hines and Chark for Godwin, I would absolutely do that deal. Yeah.
Yep.
Ready for the no huddle, boys?
Well, yeah. Let's do no huddle. Let's talk about it. Let's
clap your hands.
Let's clap our hands.
Everybody.
With the lag, I don't want to start because we're probably off beat with each other. Big day yesterday, to say the least. That's probably an understatement. Maury went off. Numerous trades, draft selections, which that first draft selection of Maxey got me really, really excited the more I learned about that prospect. But let's just go around the horn, as ESPN's show says. Let's go around and let's get all your biggest reactions or takeaways from the Sixers evening last night. What is something that you're excited about? Anything? Tom, let's go with you first. What do you got?
Well, listen, I mean, I take pride in watching the big blue teams, right? I mean, I think just like I talk about the SEC, I watch I watch big basketball. I watch big boy basketball. It's like I watch big boy football. That's what I try to focus on. That's why they're the type of players I think can make my team better. For the first time since 2000, you're talking about them 5 programs or 4 programs. I think it was 4 programs. They didn't have a player drafted in the lottery for the first time since 2000. Since 2000. So not having March Madness killed a lot of these young players, these freshman-type players that went to these bigger schools. It killed them not having it. Not having the draft combines, etc., killed some of these prospects. Maxey's one of them prospects. I'm going to tell people here right now that want to hear it out. I watched him play a ton of Kentucky. From this first game I watched him play, I'm like, yo, I like this kid. I like him. He can create his own shot. He can take you off the dribble. He loves to play defense. And then you find out someone to work. Grayson, my man.
There he is.
Best hair in the business.
Oh, look at my God.
And I look at the work ethic, right? We talk a lot about work ethic, the 1-2 to be great, the 1-2 to be better. I think this, I'm not just saying this. I said it last night. This is the steal of the draft at 21. I mean, this is what good organizations do. You take the best player available. He's a perfect fit for what this offense needs as a 2-guard type player. And I think he's an instant impact guy because what he does well in college, I think his shot's going to get better. I truly believe it. I think he'll shoot the ball
better. Is good, right? Because his free throw percentage is high. So his form, that means his form is good. It's only a matter of development.
This consistency, right, Chuck? I mean, it's a freshman in a big conference, and whatever the case. I think it's going to get a lot better. Like Patrick, like you saw Nunn get better shooting the ball. You saw Hero get better shooting the ball this year. You saw 2 guys that got better shooting the ball in the NBA. So I hope that's going to be the case for him. So I love the move there. I'll keep it quick, but I love the move there, and I absolutely. I think he's an impact guy day one. And then you got to love how they were able to get out of contracts and go get shooters for this basketball team. But just draft-wise, just that pick alone is a home run to me. And it's in an influx of young talent, which this bench needs and this roster needs as well, because you brought in 2 vets who can shoot the basketball. I just like what they've constructed here. I like day one of Daryl Morey, air quote. And if anybody's doesn't like what they did, I don't think you know what the Sixers need then. I mean, this is exactly what the Sixers need. Another ball handler who can create his own shot, all right, and can create his own 3, can get to the basket. It loves to play defense, too. The thing nobody wants to talk about, Maxey loves to play defense. Doc Rivers talked about it last night, that this is going to be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. I love that his mindset's there. He knows what his basketball team does good already in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, so he's building around them, and it's the first time since a little run we had with Bellinelli and Ilyasova. This is the first time you can say that this organization, unlike the Philadelphia Eagles, have put talent and the guys who fit around their young pieces. There's no crowning of Danny Green. Besides, dude's got rings and wins everywhere he goes. And there's no crowning of Seth Curry. Besides, he just hits 3s. I'm not crowning them 2. I'm more crowning Maxey because the kid can flat out play. And I think every team in the lottery outside of the freaking Charlotte Hornets, who I think for the first time in Michael Jordan's career got a home run. First time in Michael Jordan's career, I think he had a home run and got lucky with it. Okay? Besides them, I think and I like Wiseman because the situation is in. Take them out. It's Reach City all the way through the first round. It's Reach City. Go watch the first round again. I don't know. Hit these things. I'm like, who? Who? Who you think? Right? So, I mean, I think that was a vibe for a lot of people. We lost out on March Madness, which means we didn't get to learn about a lot of these kids more. So for the big schools that I watch a lot, I know you guys watch a lot, to see a kid like Maxey go to us where we probably watched them a good amount of times, I'm jacked up. Let's go. 70 wins.
And I think that you're spot on, Tom, and it's true that the Morey era starts draft night, right? And we saw immediately draft day, he completely changed the configuration of this organization and the roster that's built. He showed that this organization is going to be a team that's going to go in and they have a plan. They have an idea of the players that they need. They have basketball guys in the organization. And look at this. Maxey is a prime example, right? He's a guy who, if you watched and heard everybody talk about him, whether it was John Calipari, we know John Calipari always brags about his own players, but then go back and watch today. Look at what you heard Jay Williams completely bragging about what the Sixers did and the player that they got. Maxey's a kid that could have been a top 10 talent. The guy they got at 58, they said could have been a top 15, top 20 talent.
Was that
But he
Joe?
has character issues.
Isaiah Joe.
I forget his name.
Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Isaiah
He was
Joe.
a guy who could have been a mid first round pick. But he
Paul,
has-
right? DePaul.
Joe.
I think-
Oh, Paul Reed. You're talking about.
Paul Reed. You
Paul.
talking about from DePaul?
Might be. I'll
Yeah.
pull up the name.
Average 2.5.
It was their who they took at 58.
Yeah,
But-
Paul Reed, 2.6 blocks a game, Chrome, over 10 rebounds, about 16 points a game at the ball. So
And you-
flat out there.
Wow.
That's what you were talking about when you talked about Howie earlier. And I'm not going all the way back to there, but when you talk about you can find guys in later spots or later rounds if you know what you're evaluating, who can fit your roster, who can contribute something. And when you go back and you look at what this organization did, they added shooting, they added defense. They have the second best three-point shooter in the history of the game in terms of percentage.
Yeah.
In the history of the game.
And
That's
you know,
unbelievable.
Yeah, that's it.
Chrome, you know who else opted out today, boys?
Hayward.
Forget Hayward. He ain't coming here. Let him go to New York.
You talking about Bogdanovich?
No. I'm talking about. You want a family reunion here?
No.
JJ?
Austin Rivers opted out today.
Oh, yeah. I
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
Well,
He's on his
That
way.
comes. You break now. Thanksgiving's easy, baby. Now Thanksgiving's easy. You're all here. You're all here together.
So real quick, I had told Brodo this before we came on. So feel bad for Klay Thompson, torn Achilles, out for the year again.
that's awful. Oh,
Yeah,
man. And
yeah.
one of the real good guys in the game,
Yes.
too. It's
Yeah.
so sad to say. You never want to say it with anybody, but, man, what a shame. 2
There'll be a
years now
three-
he's going to miss.
Yeah, there'll be a 3 seed because of the addition of Oubre. I mean, if that goes down, there'll be a 3 seed in the West. You can book it.
This is very hypothetical. And there was someone putting in the chat. But if I'm Del Morey, right, just pick up the phone and just say, yo, all right, Clay's out for another year. Draymond's getting older. You don't like
Say it.
wins.
You're gonna say it.
I mean, we got his brother already. I mean, is there any interest? Like, what would it take?
This guy trying to bring the whole family home. I mean, now Thanksgiving, we're not when that other house is over.
What would it take?
What are you doing?
What
What would it take to get Steph?
Yes, what would it take to get Steph? I mean, because they're not going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
if they got enough. I don't know if they got
Yeah.
enough.
That
Yeah.
is
That's right, Ben's sister. Yeah,
Everything.
I mean, Ben would definitely be included in that deal.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a conversation starter. Ben Tobias, next
know.
whatever pick.
You know, I was even going to think maybe picking up the phone and calling the Warriors and seeing what it would take to get Klay Thompson.
Oh, you could do that.
I know he's hurt, but if he comes back healthy,
he may be like a year to 18 months away.
I'm upset with Pete for the first time in the history of talking sports. I think
Why?
because we just put a whole roster together for Ben Simmons. We just came up with a roster for Ben Simmons. Now you want him going? Yeah,
I don't. It was to help Ben, but it's Steph.
no, he just wants all the Rivers family at the dinner table.
Yeah, you know what I
He just
mean.
wants-
Make Doc comfortable, and B ain't got to do shit. He just pass it out. They pass it back.
Hey,
Nobody-
listen, I know there was some dissension there, but there's familiarity. Why don't we go out and get Paul George too while we're at it?
whoa.
Or Kawhi.
That's an awkward dinner, babe. That's an awkward morning.
That's very awkward.
That's a Philadelphia Thanksgiving dinner right there, brother.
Good God.
You can even bring Kawhi. You can even ask for, see if I ask about Kawhi coming to Philly too.
Real quick, Pop, about Melo. The only reason I disagree with you about Melo is because he just played against grown men and showed he could play. I mean, he's the only guy out of this whole class that just played against grown men.
Yeah.
And has shown he can play. I mean, listen, LeVar is what he is. I'm not going to knock the kid for bravado of daddy. Everybody loves some bravado.
Well, and even on top,
Lonzo for it. This kid can well.
And even on top of it, I mean, I think we thought that was going to be an issue in terms of what was people almost put character issues on Lonzo for his father's shenanigans. And I think Lonzo has proven that dad can be, whatever he is and speak his game over here, but he's got his own personality, his own mind. I've come to like Lonzo a lot. And I think that's a good trend for what you can possibly expect from LaMelo if he's as mature as his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what they did with Seth Curry, and get because he could just flat out shoot, and you could just spot up from the corner,
That's all we need.
anywhere behind the arc,
Just
and
count
drain it. Yeah, I didn't know much about that Maxey kid, but this kid sounds like he can play, and I do agree that I think they got the steal the draft. I don't know how he fell at 21.
Everyone's saying it, Nick. Everyone's saying kid should have been a top.
Listen, I didn't.
Real quick, fuck what everybody else is saying. Have I lied to you in 6 years? I mean, I lied to you in 6 years. I mean, there's clips on it last night. For anybody said,
Grayson, cover your ears.
Yeah.
All right? Grayson.
Yeah, come on, this kid's here, Tom. No, you're right.
Yeah,
Listen,
me and him.
Listen, no, I don't think he was a guy. I think he was an honest man. You know, you want to tell the truth. You speak the facts. So, listen, I take your word for it. It's just, yeah. Well, you know, another stat I heard is that the kid actually plays and shoots better in big time games.
Yes.
He shoots like 40%.
Yes.
In when the game's on the line or in competitive games.
He can get his own shot.
That is what. See, like, I don't. You guys know me. I'm not a huge basketball guy, especially for college. So anytime the draft comes, I just do as we go. So I study these guys as we go. Maxey, we selected him. I immediately looked up videos, scouting reports, everything for the guy. And I went, Tom, I trust you, and I trust my other boy, Rob, when it comes to college basketball. And both of you say essentially the same thing. Now, you know, everything that you guys are talking about when it comes to Maxey, he's like the type of player I love to root for. Like, he plays defense, you know, athletic combo guard, can score.
Grayson doesn't like your opinion, Chuck.
He doesn't like my opinion. He's athletic. He does everything. I love the kid. But what is the one thing I've said since Jimmy left? It's not just me, obviously. A lot of people have said it. But Jimmy Butler leaving, what was that hole that he left? We didn't have a closer. And so if this kid can come in as a guy that create his own shot from anywhere on the court and come up big in clutch situations, that is another big hole that needs to get filled. And if he can provide that, that is absolutely huge. And I don't want to put too much on the young guy because I know he's really young, but that's what gets me just really excited about the pick is he's the kind of guy that I root for. You know, a combo guard that plays defense and high character guy and has a high ceiling. Because what is he? He's only like 20, right? Like he's young.
Oh, Maxey?
He was a freshman.
Real quick, I don't think Chuck, to your point, I don't think he's going to be, and I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be intimidated by the moment. Because look who he works out with. I mean, he works out with Ben. He works out with LeBron. I mean, LeBron's tweeting about the kid. I mean, listen, when you got the best player in the world saying, woo.
And not even just that. You know, I think in this city we kind of fall into these like, oh, here we go again type of trends, right? So you heard last night, you know, his shot needs to develop a little bit. And immediately we think about Ben Simmons, right? And that's oh, here we go with the guy's shot's got to develop stuff. But the difference here is, you know, Ben is not much of a shooter. He never really has been. This kid is not afraid to take a shot. Yeah. Now, when you talk about that's the big difference. He will take the shot, and that he can get to the basket. And if that's the first option, he's going to take that. But he'll pop the shot. And you know, the big thing was he's got to you know, not line drive as much and develop his shot to arc a little bit more. Because it'll do better for him in the NBA. But don't always fall into when you hear these things that a guy's got to develop this or develop that. Not everybody's the same. His shot, it's there. He's not intimidated to take it. He's not afraid of the big moment, like you guys had mentioned. He's already, first of all, he's playing for a big program in Kentucky. Yeah, that alone tells you right there. He played for a big program in Kentucky. Right. And secondly,
I like his running mate there too. His running mate went undrafted. His running mate's just hanging out there. And Ashton Hagens, who I like a lot too, just never got drafted last night, which is surprising. His other sidekick never got drafted. Another young kid from Kentucky. Yeah. Real quick, you talk about Jimmy Butler, right? And then I want your guys' opinion on this. Missing that like guy who can create his own shot. We're not comparing Maxey to Jimmy Butler. We're just saying that that was a thing this organization needed, was a guy who wasn't scared to take that big moment. Exactly. And I really truly believe, as that combo guard, that he's not going to be scared to have the ball in his hands. I believe instantly he can take NBA guys off the dribble. I'm not going to say the shot's going to be perfect instantly, but I'm saying instantly he'll be able to get to the line. His first step is really good, and he's just elusive getting in the bucket.
Good body control. Yeah, man.
Good body control. You know who else had good body control too? And what sold me on him before the shot issue, I don't want to bring up his name, but he reminds me of that way to be able just to get to the basket with ease, right? It almost looks easy for him getting to the basket. So just some exciting things to think about. That's all, boys.
And listen, I like the addition of Danny Green too. I know, maybe he struggled a little bit in the playoff series and whatnot, but Danny Green has won 2 consecutive championships, 3 overall, and has played with some of the top players in this league. He can shoot the ball. He can play defense. He's a 3-and-D guy. He, in a way, I mean, we're getting Seth alone is adding that 3-point aspect that we missed not having JJ. But when you look at what Danny Green can do as far as shooting the 3, and he adds that other aspect that we lacked a lot with JJ, is that defensive side of the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, you addressed the biggest need you had last year.
Yeah, you're not getting hurt like you were at the end of games. Like now, you might get hurt because Danny Green might not make a shot because he like any shooter, he goes through slumps, but you're not going to get hurt on the defense end. To your point.
And with this team as it is, he's not the guy that needs to take the shot at the end of the game. He's not that guy that has to perch out on the outside of the 3-point line. That's Seth Curry for you right there.
There's
one guy to kick out to.
Listen, we talk about dogs. Where's the dog at? Where's the dog at? This basketball team, we talk about it being set up for Ben Simmons. Real quick, last thing. It's set up for Joel Embiid too. And it's set up for Joel Embiid to have the ball in his hands and things work through Joel Embiid. And I think that you bring big-time basketball people into this organization from coaching staffs on up that believe deep down still that big men win championships, okay? I'm telling you, if they continue to build this around Joel Embiid like they are, and Ben Simmons, watch the hell out.
I can make the argument, and you're absolutely right. They built a lot of this for Ben. I can make the argument that they built it for Joe because everything is clogging the lanes. Everything is making sure that Joe has to sit out take shots from the outside, take shots on the arc. Way too many, and we talk about it all the time. Yeah, it doesn't have to do that. This team, as it is, since these gentlemen, these guys these 2 core players have been on this roster, has never been built to space out the floor the way that it is built as of now, and they're going to add more pieces. We talked about the rumors of they cut Pell. That tells me right there that they're probably bringing back Noel. Look at that, and I love that. Hey, guess what? Another defensive guy right there who's just going to shut it down.
Guys, it's going to be Clippers. It's going to be Clippers East, man. I'm telling you. Watch.
Pete, question for you guys: where do you guys put them in the East right now? Are they a top 4 team in the East right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this real quick on Maxey. Everybody out there, you're talking about dog and heart. Think of a taller, younger, more offensively gifted, active on-ball defender. You think of Pat Bev with a better shot and a better offensive game. There's your heart. There's your warrior. That's the guy that's not going to be afraid to back down from anybody. I just saw the clip of him guarding Anthony Edwards, a number 1 overall pick.
And what was
he say he shut him down. But listen, that's the type of talent he went up against. If you forget Anthony Edwards, when was the last time Georgia had a first overall pick? They had it. SEC. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was going to say, when I see those stats, like I said before, I see guys got some killer in them. I think it could develop into that. Closer, something like that.
See college kids smack the floor that can really play.
Well,
honestly, Nick, how many times have you seen college kids smack the floor at big time programs that can really play them? I'm not talking about your 27th guy off the bench, right? I'm talking about starters who are smacking the floor at the end of games. I've watched him do it, and man, I like this kid. And it's just,
I believe you, man. I trust you. I'm excited though. It's been a while since I've really been excited about Sixers basketball, but what they did last night was just unbelievable. I mean, like you said, in one night they shedded that awful contract for Horford. Ridding them $80 million. And Chrome, like you said before about Danny Green, I think a lot of that was bringing a guy who can win. So I think he brought in some veteran leadership,
winning mentality.
Good. You heard what Doc said last time. They got to learn how to win. And Green, so I think it's more, if anything, he's probably going to be there for a veteran presence to, when these guys have a long road trip and their minds aren't right. Green's going to be the guy to teach them how to win on the road.
And how team friendly is that Seth Curry deal, by the way, over the next 3 years?
Very.
Right.
And then
million Cromer. What is it? 7 for a sniper? I mean, listen.
You got to think about this.
Ducks, where did you have him though in the top? I want to know where you guys have him in the top 4 though.
Well, let me add this factor in too, and it's It's a mystery if it's going to happen. But if somehow, unless they move him in a contract dump, if they can somehow, if Mike Scott can bounce back a little bit and start dropping threes as well, boy, this team will be shooting the friggin' lights out. You add that aspect off the bench with Mike Scott again, like we got that playoff run.
Back.
Tell you what, man, he's got length. I like it. I like it a lot. And then I like you got Robinson the third, I believe, is back, right?
Yeah. Yes, he is. Burks isn't.
I hope that they can somehow bring him back, though. I really liked Burks on this team.
They're going to get Austin instead for $5 million.
And that's possible. I would be fine with that, but I do like Burks too. If they go that route and bring him back,
Would you have
probably. I'd probably rather have Austin Rivers. But if we end up with Burks, I'm okay with that too. I liked his fit with this team off the bench.
Yeah, I agree.
Tom,
Who's that backup four? Who's that backup four right now?
It's going to be Nerlens.
So who's your backup five?
Oh, then maybe that's Nerlens. I don't know who your backup four is going to be, honestly, Pete. Because you're
right now it might be Mike Scott.
Yeah, it's Mike Scott. They're going to
backup four is probably not on the roster yet. Maybe.
Oh, you know who it is? It's the kid you just drafted from DePaul.
Reed.
Four. He's probably going to be your four if he doesn't go to the G League. Depending on what they do, they might not have the money to go out and get anybody. So it's probably going to be Mike Scott as your four, or I don't know, or Nerlens going to play four, and you're just going to run smaller lineups at times. I don't know. I mean, that stuff's I can't even think about that yet because I got to see this roster fill out.
Yeah, because you got to think too. You got to think too. I mean, we've seen it. I think it could work if you need be. You could put Nerlens at the 5, and Ben could run point from the 4, if at certain points if necessary, like to give guys reps.
Yeah, defensive wise, you could where you just Yep.
Yeah, Tom. Going to your point though, you asked where I have the Sixers. I mean, they're definitely a top 5 team in the East. I don't know if they're 4 yet because I'm looking at the East. You have Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Miami, but I think they could pass one of those teams, depending on what else they do. But
I think they could pass Toronto. I don't know about White at Boston yet.
Toronto's done. You put the Nets in for Toronto now. The Nets with KD going to Toronto.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I still think we're better than the Nets. Okay, I'm not gonna say we're better than Miami yet because they went to the finals, so I'm not gonna disrespect them. Okay, so we're not better than them. We're not better than Milwaukee yet until we go and prove we are. I'm gonna put us right in the 3-hole. Because Boston hasn't done shit to prove that they're the greatest thing ever. Okay, and let's go on. You know what I mean? So the Nets haven't proved anything yet. You know what I mean? It looks good on paper. So right now I'm going to put us in the 3 spot. Now
let me ask you about the Nets. Let me ask you about the Nets. So with KD and Kyrie. Now I know KD's coming off a serious injury with that Achilles injury. That in terms of him being 1 or 2 years older, or even before he steps foot on the floor for the Nets, well, and the hype they're getting at this point, them being a top team in the East. I mean, is that I feel like there's something definitely to consider. Is that maybe KD's not what he used to be?
I don't think he are yet.
30, is he like 34 now? 35?
I'll put it this way: until he steps on the floor and he shows that he's not who he used to be, to me, KD will be who he is.
I agree. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
That he has done more than enough in his career to deserve the benefit of the doubt. So, I mean, it's a fair question, but
I just can't put them above us because of Kyrie. He's never healthy. He's never on the court.
That's true.
I don't. You want to talk about injury?
I agree.
That dude is a walking crump. I got no time for Kyrie Irving. KD, I love. And if I like Kyrie a little bit, I would say that's the best team in the East. I freaking can't stand Kyrie Irving. So that being said, I love Kevin Durant. Easy money sniper. All right, dude, don't make top 3 basketball player in the NBA, if not 1 sometimes. All right, so I'm not going to ever run away from that, like Crum said. Until he proves he can't do it, I'm going to believe he can. But right now, I have them 4 because there is unknowns. You know what I mean? Steve Nash never been a head coach ever. So I mean, I gotta see some things before I can let them jump teams that have some track record here. You know what I mean?
That's
see, I might have him at the 4 spot. I would probably agree. Miami 1, Milwaukee 2. I just
Boston's probably better.
Boston is good, and the core of Boston is just so good. If we're gonna talk about, I know they haven't won the big one yet, but That core is still intact. They're still young. I like them a lot, and that's one. That's
here,
one we got to get on the floor and prove that we're better. I think we can be, but we have to get on the floor and prove it first.
Just hear me out with all this. I always talk about. Nobody wants to listen when it comes to the NBA. Look at all these teams we're saying though haven't proved it yet. They're all puppies. The Sixers, puppies. Boston, puppies. Milwaukee with Giannis, puppies. Puppies don't win championships.
Hey, Milwaukee went out and they gave up a lot too, but going out and getting Drew Holiday was big for them.
No. Would you listen? Would you lock in? I'm talking about time machine talk.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
No, not now. I'm not talking about now. Now all these guys are starting to get into their prime years.
Right.
Tatum, Giannis. This is when guys win. So now this is when the fork meets the road, and it's like, well, who's going to take their game to the next level in terms of that Jordan, Kobe, etc. effect in the East that's going to be there all the time. I'm really interested because all these teams that are so close and have so much talent, which one takes the big step? Is it here? Mm-hmm. Is it Joe and Ben? I'm praying to God, though. Is it Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who I freaking love Jaylen Brown? Is it them?
Me too.
I hope not. Is it, you know what I mean? Is it Giannis that takes that next step where he gets through an Eastern Conference final finally? They're built for it. I hope not, but we're built to beat them up too. So I'm so excited that I think the Eastern Conference is so strong. I believe so much in our organization now. I believe so much in this entire coaching staff as a whole. It's amazing. And I would say right now, we have the second best coaching staff in the Eastern Conference, if not the NBA. And the only one that I will give you the better one too is Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat, because Spoelstra's a GOAT. Everybody else.
Let me ask you guys, especially you 4 for 4 who follow all of them. Isn't it nice to have a front office who says this is what we're going to do, and then comes in and does it? Not like the Phillies who says we're going to spend stupid money and then doesn't spend any money in a pitching staff outside of Wheeler, but doesn't put together a pitching staff. Right. Or the Philadelphia Eagles, who they're in on every name, and then they almost never land them anymore at this point. They're not willing to give up the draft capital or whatever it is. I mean, the Flyers, I say the Flyers, I'm not going to clump them in that, but particularly those two teams who are at the forefront of the city.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's so nice to have an organization that says, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go out. And I'll clump the Flyers in with the Sixers. They said, we're going young. We're rebuilding. We're going to get a fucking goaltender, and we're going to build the organization around him. And look at what they're doing now.
It's amazing what happens when you just kind of stick to your guns, or you actually do what works in your respective sport.
Everybody shit on the Chuck Fletcher signing for the Flyers at first and thought, oh, how can we get rid of Hextall? He's one of our guys. Well, Chuck Fletcher just came in and said, hey, man, I'm going to show you what kind of a hockey guy I am. And he went and continued to build young pieces around the team that Hextall started. They've been hitting – a lot of their draft picks under him the last 2 years are very, very good prospects. Yes. And, by the way, he went out and got the right veterans to mix with the young guys. And look at all the players who have accelerated their progression.
Pete. Where the hell are we, Pete? Are we top 4? I don't feel like I heard you tell me yet. I don't know. You might have told
top 4.
Where? I'm putting the gun to your head.
What's your rankings? Let's hear what you got, Pete.
I'm putting the gun to your head. I need to know.
Fuck it too.
Yeah, let's go.
What?
No, and I'll say this. Okay.
That was a response right there, by the way.
So we usually are no notes, but Eagles, since we are technically a football show, birds of a feather, take notes to see what the Sixers did to get at what they did in the offseason, and they had a plan, they executed it, and they hired the right people. Only thing I didn't agree with was maybe keeping Elton. Like, I don't know where Elton really falls in now, because you kind of have another guy over top of you doing the same job, but that's neither here nor there. But the reason why there are 2 is because Danny Green is 3 for 3. He's one. I want him to go 3 for 3. Right now, he's 2 for 2. The last 2 teams he's played on, they fucking won the chip.
But he has 3 titles already, though.
Right, but I'm saying right now he's 2 for 2. Played for the Raptors, won a chip. Played for the Lakers, won a chip. Let's go for the triple dicks in Chrome's words. But no, in essence, when I look at the Bucks on paper, the Bogdanovich backing out changes their team slightly, and we've seen them choke in the playoffs, whether it's a regular pre-pandemic or in a bubble setting. They choked in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But still on paper, I'll give the nod to the Bucks. When it comes to the Raptors, nah, they got to take a step back. I don't think they can catch that same magic that they caught back in there in Orlando. I don't think that happens. And then with the Nets, man, the reason why I really can't go with the Nets is because TA said it best. The coaching staff, it's different. Steve Nash has never been a coach at all. So,
well, if you ask Kyrie Irving says they don't need a coach to begin with.
And exactly. The world is flat too.
Any fucking thing world is flat. So
that tells you exactly what. That tells
all
you exactly
need to know
how
right there. Yeah. All you need to know right there. But as far on paper, and then what we have now, and we talk about that spaces, and I don't think we're done. This shit happened before free agency actually started. So you got Nerlens coming back. Now you got the kid Reed, maybe be your backup 4. I'll give you another name as well. If you could sign him for $2 or $3 million a year, maybe 4, do you dabble with the idea of bringing Dario back as a piece who can just pass?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So it's another 4 that can distribute the ball, create space, and we wanted to be better from the 3, yes. Is he serviceable defense? Yes. But within Doc's system, you know you're going to be a better defensive team anyway. You got Sam Cassell as well. These players now are finally going to do exactly what we want them to do. We need our stars to be held accountable. Ben, guess what? Get fucking uncomfortable. Your safety blanket is gone. Brett Brown's out of here. Al Horford, I like you. Bye. You can take your fucking crazy sister and your brother with you. that fucking Yo, bro, I swear to God, like, bye, Phillies, for real. Like, stop riding the coattails of your brother. It's just one person that we fuck with, not you. We didn't vibe with you like that. We don't owe you shit.
Live up the money, we won't talk. Live up the money.
Oh, my God. But I just think that this is the year that our Ben and Joel take their next step. I think Joel was drafted in 2014. This is his 4th or 5th year playing in a row. Ben drafted in 2016. So it's that time. But I've always said this before. This is just not even Philly related. This is just basketball related. You always can be young talent coming on the court. And you may be the most talented players on the court. But in basketball, it takes time for you to learn how to win. White man can't jump. Billy Hoyle ain't come on the court and beat King and Duck.
Don't come at my boy Billy Hoyle.
I'm not, but I'm saying when Sidney and Billy stepped on the court with the first time with King and Duck, what happened? They wasn't beating King and Duck because old savvy veterans who may have lost a step know how to win. They know how to play smarter, not harder. Now you got a marriage of both. Now going into the year, how many games is this season? 77? Some shit like
72,
that?
I think.
72.
Man, I'm saying 49-23.
I'm right around you. Because I think you said a great name and I love it, and it's Dario. Like I bring the whole band back together in that way because I want Joel Embiid to be Joel Embiid. And if I got to bring in guys that Joel Embiid is tight with, I want to do that. If Joel Embiid wants to talk shit on social media all year, let him talk shit. I'm so sick of us trying to not let players be who they are. We rip guys that were friends of his out of this organization. Hey, you got to play with whoever they put you with. I'm not. There's no excuses, okay, for your lackluster effort early on in the year last year and throughout last year. I'm not going to forget it because I love you too much to not freaking harp on you about it, okay? But there's no excuse for that. So let's do some of them things, right? I got to believe that if you bring Dario back, I'd rather have Dario than Nerlens back, but I'll take Nerlens in a heartbeat, and I'll take either one of them. But Dario's that perfect stretch four in today's NBA. He's physical. He'll play defense. He'll rebound. Okay, he's not the most athletic guy, but he can hit threes. He can create his own shot a little bit. That's the best name in the night, and that was the best name we talked about last night too. Love him.
And honestly, guys, the thing too is, I think there was a time where you would have never thought that Nerlens Noel would consider coming back to this organization. And now you look at, I think now the league is seeing and recognizing what kind of organization has been put together this offseason and realize that this is a real basketball-driven organization, and this is what we wanted. The process wasn't about winning a title. The process was about building a winning organization, a destination for players to want to come to. And I think that this is finally that moment. I hate that they put the TTP on the jerseys because, to me, the TTP part is over. Yeah. The process is over. This is the now. This is when you win. This is when you prove why teams and players should want to come to your team and win. And I think you're going to start seeing that. We're talking about will a guy take $2.5 million here or here or here to come here with a chance to win, to play with these guys who have been winning players, to play with these young players who could be the future of this entire league. Absolutely. To play for an icon in coaching in the NBA in Doc Rivers. Mm-hmm. And to be surrounded and continue to develop their game around other great players like Sam Cassell, guys who in their day were huge contributors to winning teams. Absolutely. This is the moment we waited. This is a moment I've waited for in my lifetime, to see my organization built this strongly with these kind of guys, with this kind of talent, a place that these guys are going to want to come to, not just this year, but next year and the year after and the year after.
Who like the destination wedding? You know what I mean? This is like a destination wedding. Everybody wants to come, right? Let's make Philly a place people want to come play with.
Let's do it.
Let's go. And who would not want to come here? Look at the coaching staff, right? I mean, look, the whole staff is an A+. I mean, you got Doc and Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell, I said before to you guys,
one of my favorite guys ever. Sam,
I would have hired him as my head coach when that name came up. Like, he would have been my head coach, and I would have been excited. Now we get
absolute bulldog.
Five little mouse.
Let me ask you guys a question. Are you okay? And just hear me out on this. You didn't get rid of Brett last year. Jimmy walked. Okay, we know where that went. But if you would have got rid of Brett last year, I don't know who the head coach would have been. I don't know what this organization would look like. The fact that you waited, almost you got the luck of the draw. You got lucky.
You lucked out.
Yeah.
So
everything fell into your lap.
Yeah.
I'm never okay with losing Jimmy because I love Jimmy. But hindsight being 2020, if you knew that this was going to happen, would you say, okay, I can wait a year, watch him go to the finals, watch it break my heart, destroy me inside. But I know that I get this kind of coaching staff. I now look at my roster now. Am I good? And I would say,
yes.
You know what?
Because timing is everything, and the timing couldn't be more perfect. You know,
good.
I say, you know, when you do it this way, you do it naturally. That's when it's the best. I mean, if you look at a team like the Phillies who are actually doing it purposely, then that's where you really get into some trouble and it becomes really bad. But in this case, you sign me up for this, I'll take this all day.
Like Marquise says down here, players like Embiid and Ben get other stars with Doc. You're not getting those stars with Brett Brown.
No,
it's
as
just
they
not
get
happening.
older too, Chrome and Pete, right? Like, you got Nick, Chucks, right? Like we talked about, as they get older, where vets win in this league, it's even easier for them to attract guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As time goes, it's so easy for LeBron because it's LeBron, dude. Like, he calls Danny Green on the phone, take $3 million. You know what I mean? Like, literally, Rajon Rondo, like, hey, I need you, right? Come on over here.
Speaking of Rondo,
that's what happens.
Who did Maxey say he learned a lot from?
Rajon Rondo.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I love Rajon Rondo. Winner.
Even with that being said, let me ask you this. We know Embiid right now, better player overall, higher ceiling, and means more to the team than Ben. But we know Ben has the most potential growth out of both of them. Like, Ben has a game that where if he does develop offensively, because the defense is already there, that if Ben can find it, it's really almost to the point. I'm gonna say obviously Embiid is Embiid, but
it's transcending.
Hard. It's hard for me. I agree with you and disagree with you at the same time. It's so hard. Go ahead.
It could be transcending. He could be not just a top of the league all-star player, but he could be a generational player, a guy that 20 years from now people say, man, that guy might be a top 10 player all time. Not just a top 10 player in his time.
1998, I would say that Joel Embiid would have the higher upside because of the way the game was played. Okay.
Agreed.
Today's game and the way it's changed and it's up and down, I'm going to agree with Pete on that. That I think if he we talked about it for a year. I mean, a 10-foot, 15-foot jumper, don't matter. A little fadeaway piece doesn't matter. The second you shoot a three and make it, and somebody's got to come defend, it's over. Yes. The dude already can take everybody in the country off a dribble. Everybody in the country can take off a dribble. All right, and he's bigger than everybody. So the second he Giannis's it and says, "Oh, I'm just going to shoot it to show you I'll shoot it," it's over. And even if he misses it, he can miss every shot. All right? They're either going to give him wide open threes, which will start to make because he's an NBA player, or they're going to close out on you, and it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Because you're going to hit as soon as he gets them to step up, he's gone.
And Tom, your question was very fair because that's a great question. Would you, in hindsight, take things as they were if you could have, say, a different coach and keep Jimmy? Or would you take it now? I would take it now because as much as I love Jimmy, and I'm with you, I'm a big Jimmy guy. I'll always be a fan of the guy. I think Brett ran him out of town, basically. They made that decision. And honestly, I don't know that that's Elton's decision. I feel like that was more of an organization. I think this organization felt a loyalty to Brett to give him another year. But I digress.
No, that's fair.
I would much rather – I think the key to this whole thing was Doc Rivers. And we lucked out into it because in any other time in Philadelphia sports history, they would have – Doc Rivers would have got fired 20 minutes after Mike D'Antoni puts pen to contract. But for some reason, they waited a little bit longer, a couple extra days to make that decision, and the chips started to fall. Doc Brown. Doc Rivers shows up. Next thing you know, Pat Moore – Doc, we talk about Doc bringing people, right? I don't know that Morey comes here without Doc. You got Doc. Now you got Morey. Now you got these guys.
From the second he signed on the dotted line, Daryl Morey opted out of Houston.
Yep.
He signed on the dotted line. Daryl Morey said, hey, I'm out of this mess, right? And then he comes running over here. It's amazing. He said he's going to take a year off, and then he comes over here.
This is it's just insane because when you look at it, again, I never want to be another playoff purgatory team. We experienced that through the 2000s where we were a 5, 6, 7 seed, and everybody knows that's irrelevant. You're not getting anywhere. You're not moving up. You're not really falling back. You're just kind of sitting in the middle because there's so many playoff teams. So it doesn't mean you're really doing anything.
You're right.
This is the moment that we waited for, guys. I'm telling you, this is it. This is when this organization hits its peak. We talked about back when Andy Reid got hired for the Eagles and how that changed that organization forever. I think this is going to be the moment that the Sixers organization changes for a very, very long time, and we remember this.
Let's hope.
Because I think the day Doc – I think – I'll be honest with you guys real quick. Sam Cassell is still, to me, a younger guy in the coaching range too. Mm-hmm. But think about something here. If Doc decides in a few years, in 3-4 years, he's done, right? Well, I think you have your predecessor right here on your roster.
Absolutely, I agree.
It doesn't go anywhere. So if Sam Cassell is almost like a written agreement, like, hey, when I'm done, come with me because when I'm done, it's your, and then I think we would all be happy there, depending on how these 4 years go. Obviously,
right?
We could be yelling from the rooftops for brand new shit. But as it looks right now, I mean, that looks like we got like two guys. I don't know. It's just a great situation.
You very well may have your head coach even beyond Doc for the next 10 years already with the organization.
Yep.
And that's exciting.
Yep.
Does Ben Simmons become a top 10 player this year?
I don't know about this year. I think it would take another year. He's never going to be a top 10 player until he starts shooting. And I don't know that it's going to happen this year.
I'm going to say yes. I'm just going to be hopeful. I'm a Ben guy, so I'm going to be hopeful and say yes.
Chuck's defense matters, brother. So it's not a bad pick. When you maybe are the best on-ball defender in the league outside of Kawhi.
That about him.
And you might be better. You might be better than Kawhi on the ball at this point of your career because you're younger. When you're the best on-ball defender, if he averages 18 to 20 a game, which means he expands his offensive game a little bit, he's a top 10 player. That's how quick it happens. That's how quick
That's fair.
I will say this, and I don't believe this is going to be a factor. However, if it doesn't work out as planned this year, one of them will be gone next year, and I think it will be better.
Watch your mouth. What are you doing?
I hope it's not.
All is half full. Glass half full. Here you go.
We're about to get off, and you're telling me.
Jeez Louise, I'm not on.
I said to get a little in there for you.
Daryl Morey told you today. Okay, this is my rebuttal to you. Daryl Morey told you today, and if anybody out there in the country thinks that Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey didn't come here specifically for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, you're all out of your mind. Now,
I agree.
Watch, we'll get traded tomorrow. But
I just want to get Dad fired up. That's all.
No, you're right. I mean, I don't think in a year. I mean, I think it has to be. You talk to me in 2 years. You talk to me.
The one thing is though, you have a guy that's the president of basketball operations. That if the deal's out there that he wants, that bitch ain't afraid to pull the trigger. He ain't gonna give a fuck about how none of us feel.
Bro, he went 6-6 last year's whole lineup. He don't give a shit. He don't care. He said, "Screw the big man."
He don't care, bro. If that deal's out there, trust me. You got to feel confident that he's making the deal that's going to make the team better.
You brought up though earlier.
I think that's a crow. Take it off. He said.
He said strip.
I mean, if you guys really want, but I still got my
Another underneath. Got layers.
Keep going.
We want more.
That's it. I don't even remember what my point was now. God damn it! I got too busy.
I think you're about to ask me a question because I said something.
Welcome to my world.
God,
I was Pete, but I lost it. It's gone.
Man, well,
we'll bring it up.
Great combo, man.
We'll bring it up next.
Okay. I know what it is. Real quick, last point. In terms of Elton Brandon, we talked about that in his place with the organization. I believe, and this is probably totally me, but I think that Elton, as a young GM, who I think was kind of pushed out of necessity into the position earlier than expected, I think has at times shown that he has the capability of doing the job. I feel like the deals that he made to give us a shot to win 2 years ago were good deals, sensible deals. And at the time, it looked like there was a projected for the future, which is why I think the organization got in the way. Now, in terms of the money and when it is proper to give certain guys certain amounts of money, I think that's something that he would need to learn. And I believe that he has the right people around him. I do believe that Elton Brand could develop into being an excellent GM, and the players in the organization respect him. And something that me and Tom, I know, are really big on, a guy who is a well-respected player and human being in their time, and a guy who, even though he had an injury history, he played like a freaking bulldog when he was out on the court, is Elton Brand. And I think the players respect him for that. I don't think it's a bad thing to have Doc there and have Morey, but have guys like Elton Brand and Sam Cassell around this organization.
Crummer, thing. It looks good. The big thing you just said, when you got two guys that aren't afraid to pull the trigger. Elton Brand shows he's not afraid to pull the trigger, and Daryl Morey sure as hell, to Pete's point, showed you he ain't afraid to pull the trigger either.
If Elton doesn't develop into a proper executive who can make better decisions going forward under Daryl Morey, then it's just not his role. But I think he has made good moves in the past. It's the free agency signings that have really been the issue. So I think he'll learn that.
Before we get off, the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks are almost fighting. Yeah, I think DK may get thrown out. I think he was throwing punches.
I'm trying to see. They're
showing it now. Oh, we got punches.
Was that a punch, though, or shove?
He might have thrown a punch in the middle. I don't know if he threw a punch. I think he tried to. I think it got blocked.
Well, he walked off the field.
Man,
See,
I
can't tell if that's a shove or a punch. I don't know. I can't tell.
Who's that? Dre Fitzpatrick? Those 20 is? I love Dre Fitzpatrick. Always have, man. Freaking aggressive. Junkyard dog. Junkyard doggy Dre Fitzpatrick.
Close game. This should come down the line. I'm hoping for overtime again in this rematch.
Ooh, that looked like the referee got clipped.
Did he?
It looked like it. Although he didn't really react, but it looked like he went to overhand punch.
Only on Kirkpatrick.
Okay,
Kirkpatrick's the only one that threw a punch.
Kirkpatrick tried. Oh yeah.
I like it though. Well, I like him. He ain't bringing him home for Thanksgiving. There's a touchdown.
Nope.
There, that's
no. You know the touchdown's going. It's going to DK.
God, Patrick Peterson. Retire talk. I mean, who's that? Carson running? I mean, he went 45 yards back. Watch this. Watch me. I don't want any parts of it.
Oh, God.
Mr. Softy. Get back some.
Before we sign off, let's just see if no, it's not. I was sure it was going to end up being DK. It would have been a fitting end to this this whole show if it was DK. Guys, this was fun. Great talk today.
Yeah.
Guess I'll do the sign off here.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Nick, thanks for joining us, Dad.
Nick.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good for having you on, brother. We'll have you on again soon in the near future. Dad, as always, with Pete, Chucks, myself. Good time, good conversation. Thank you to all you guys out there, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. And if you're checking us out on the podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Play, we appreciate you as well. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, following, all that good stuff, rating us 5 stars, baby. Let's go. And also shout out to our sponsors, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No appointment necessary. So check out the doc. He's our guy. Also, Ambuck Services, Michael Ambrose. Let him know you need any kind of workout done, outside done, gutter guards, gutter cleaning, deck installation, restoration, outside work. Hit him up, AMBUCK services.com. Phone numbers in the comment section. You can check it out there. Let him know the fam sent you. Get 20% off. And PhillyDrinkers.com. All the A2D merch. PhillyDrinkers.com/A2D radio. Shirts, tumblers, shorts, fleece. I think there's a fleece or something on there. We got T-shirts, sweatshirts, show shirts, everything you want. You want to get your umbrella shirt, go on there, guys. Get your Philadelphia Quarterback Factory shirt. Check it out, PhillyDrinkers.com and PhillyDrinkers.com/A2D radio. For myself, for Pete, for Chucks, Dad down here, Nick, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see what we get from the Birds this week. Oh, Dad's got something to say.
I want to sign something off real quick. You better, better catch your goddamn football up there. All right? And, I'll say that about the great. I love the shirt. Better catch your football.
Oh, yeah, he's got to catch the football. You kidding me? You better start catching the football because no one else is. Stop catching that crap. Stop with the crap. I'm yelling at him from dad to son. From dad to son, I'm telling him, hey, stop. Stop dropping the footballs.
You gotta punish. You gotta learn to punish now. Before Grayson gets bit, you gotta learn to punish now.
I'm gonna tell you real quick before we sign off too. When Chucks was holding Grayson for a minute, I mean, they're practically same size. I couldn't tell who was who for a few minutes there.
Exactly.
The hair. You just gotta go with the hair. You got more hair than you.
Real quick before we sign off. Great show, ton of fun, guys. Like always. I mean, Christ, we went 2 hours and still get over 2 hours, and we're still just talking it up. But it's just cool to do this. Like, Leonard just texted me. Is that Nick who you're on first with? That's all. Like, that's like full circle. But about time you got your ass on here because I told you 6 months ago whenever you wanted to come on, and we're still waiting.
I know.
You can come whenever you want, brother, and it's awesome. The full circle and just just to talk sports with you again. It was cool.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I'm happy to be back on. Like you said, it's been a long time coming, and life comes full circle sometimes, and that's part of the reason why you don't burn any bridges, man. And all that stuff. So thank you for having me on. Yeah, and you guys are family, so
it's a bigger family now, brother.
Yeah,
you're in.
But I appreciate it, and it's glad to be back on, man. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to be back on soon.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad too, Tom, that you did extend it because I want to remind people out there we got shows every freaking day, and there are shows. I mean, you talk about the expansion of shows on this platform is insane.
Oh my God.
Card Knocks, After Dark. After Dark, me and Tom have been hopping on with the ladies. Phenomenal show, and that's not just us being homers. You go on and you look at the comments and people talking about that show. Those ladies are phenomenal. I checked out Card Knocks. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
And I know we had the Madden. What's the other show? I don't know all the names yet, but I know that Madden show on Friday night was awesome.
Saturday night, 7 o'clock, Kep's Corner, Madden simulation, plus Eagles talk, and he'll be doing Sixers simulation, Flyer simulation. So we're all that covered for you.
I like that. You got esports too.
Esports,
right?
We got a sports combat show coming every Saturday at 2 o'clock. So Saturday's gonna be jammed. Bare knuckle boxing right in our backyard here in Philadelphia. So I mean, you talk about Travis is really going to cover the Philadelphia fighting market that's so underrated and needs to be talked about. So excited for him, man. It's been like I took some weeks off from baseball. I was taking some time down from baseball just because I can, and really to focus on A2D. And I can't tell you how many phone calls. Like, just the growth is unreal, guys. Like, just put out a post about something like you're looking for this. And I'm just a producer stuff. That when I ask about producers, I can't thank everybody enough. I mean, Like I'm telling you, probably over 100 DMs about it. People want to be a part of this, and that's what it was built for, and that's what's exciting about it. And credit goes to all you fucking guys. Ain't no credit here, right? Like I told you before, I can't. You see a lot of guys trying to do it by themselves. We're an Arsenal, we're a family. We've been doing this a long damn time, and to see the growth up front, right in front of our eyes, even mine, it's awesome. So let's keep it up.
Yeah, that's good. That's because you're not the smartest person in the room, Tom.
No, I mean, no, only talking sports, Nick. Everything else.
More how he's here.
Yeah. So again, I mean, awesome stuff, guys. Make sure you're checking us out on everywhere and all the shows. These new shows are phenomenal. So give them some love too. Welcome them to the family as we are. And that's it, guys. For us, we're signing off. Take it easy. Go Eagles. And tomorrow night, a lot of Sixers talk, right?
Yeah, a lot of Sixers talk. Oh, real quick, Hockey Happy Hour. We got 2 shows live at the same time. Hockey Happy Hour live right now.
Samuel,
There you go.
Get over and talk to